Hey everybody, I'm gonna have to restart. It's not loading the chat through Streamlabs. Sorry about that on TikTok. I'll restart in a minute, but for some reason my Streamlabs is not loading the chat, and that's gonna be a problem. Oh shit, there it is. Never mind, I might have it. Here's some more music. Good morning, everybody. Oh shit, that is dark. I look like I got jaundice here. That's crazy when it switches. Let me mess with that picture a little bit. My bad there. That's a tough look. Let's see if we could get a little different picture there. That's not easy to look at. I apologize for that. Maybe that. Maybe that. That didn't help anything one bit. Let's see if we can break the whole fucking thing today. Let's just start things off by breaking everything. It is ominous, right? Like, what does it need? Does it need more brightness? There was some brightness. There we go. Brightened it up a little bit. I got to just stop wearing this hoodie. It makes it look like I'm emaciated, and maybe not emaciated, just jaundice. Old contrast. Yeah, that's what it's like. Yeah. Let me mess with this a little bit. Maybe do I need to mess with the contrast? I'm not that color. I mean, I'm white. I admit that I'm white, but give me a break. Not that white. More yellow. Let's go there. What does gamma do? Anybody know what gamma does? What's gamma? Yeah, that's not great. All right, washed out. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do about that. That is horrific to look at. Sorry about that. Is that the main congressman running as the Hulk? Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. All right. Well, fuck it. Sorry that you have to look at this. Today might be a good day to not watch the video. It's going to be tough to look at. Let me make sure I'm loaded here. Jen, can you hear me in the VC this morning? Uh-oh. Discord screwed up. Oh, no. I think Jen's... Oh, I muted Jen. Hold on. I muted her last night. How do I unmute you? There we go. All right. Try again. There we go, Jen.
I'm here.
Hello. Good to see Discord working again. Sorry, everybody who joined us last night for the movie night. I have no idea. I told Jen after that I have to be cursed. Like, I just have to be cursed. An hour early, not because I was confused by the time, but an hour before we started the video last night, I went and I checked everything, and everything worked just fine. And as soon as I started the video, nobody could hear my voice anymore. And then I'm like, well, maybe if I use my phone, they'll be able to hear my microphone. And that didn't happen either. So please bring back debates at this time. I should bring back debates. There's a chance. We need to.
Yeah, curse is the only logical answer. So
yeah, thank you. So, anyways, Discord's working. Jen, how was your evening?
Fine.
Did you watch the movie last night?
I watched it. Yeah, I watched it with everybody else, so that was a good time.
I heard. I know a lot of people were also watching Facts Debate Millie. Did you see any of that?
I went in for about half a second, and then I decided that I enjoy my sanity, so I left. Because
was it like a scheduled debate, or was it a panel?
I'd seen Facts on this live. I'd seen him there earlier in the day. So I don't know if she joined later on. I do know that Facts in her head, I think I've been going back and forth with videos.
Yeah, I saw his video. I
So
don't remember what it said, but I saw that he had made a video about her.
yeah, so I mean, I don't know if there's a longer standing beef that I'm not aware of, but either way, it is like on, I think in TikTok chats, kind of talking about it. It's like her minions are just. It doesn't matter what the fuck she says. They just simp for her so hard. It's ridiculous.
It's the same with all of them, and I think that people do that in general. I do. I don't think that that's necessarily unique, but what I find, I don't know if I ever debated her, like a real debate with her. I don't think I have.
I think you have scheduled some different ones, but she doesn't act like an adult.
Yeah, I think the problem is that she does study a lot, and she knows, she reads, she studied, like, specifically economics. Basic she's went over recently that I'm like, oh shit, she kind of knows what she's talking about.
I mean,
But
my 11-year-old can read, but that's
but her audience doesn't know. So when she misrepresents what she's reading, or when she misrepresents like what she's bringing to the table, they don't know that. And her audience loves just her. I'd imagine at some point she just started quizzing. If anybody was there, at one point last night, I'm going to guess that Fax got her pinned down on a point and she started quizzing him on terminology. Did that happen? I know you weren't there that long, but Chad, I'd like to know if you saw it last night. At some point, when she got stuck, did she start quizzing Fax on terminology? Yep. Yeah, there it is. Yeah. That was most of it. That's her trick. She's a one-trick pony. It's what she does. Yeah. She just starts quizzing on terms that she's learned that she doesn't know how to apply. That's why that's why I've never been in a rush to debate her, because I've seen it.
Well, that and she'll go. She wants to show her screen for something that it doesn't say what she thinks it says, and just keeps going. I as you know, I can't. She irritates the shit out of me because it's especially Hunty with a C.
Actually, is that who you called? Didn't you call her that? I forgot.
Yes, that's exactly who I called that.
I forgot about that. Yeah. Everybody was happy about that.
Yeah, she's obnoxious as shit. So
yeah, it's that's a good point to reframing the argument. I mean, if you're going to be a good MAGA debater, if you're going to be on that side, you cannot argue you can't argue with the person that you're debating. You have to change their argument in order to fit your debate. So that's like, I find that tends to be most of the debate most of the time. What you said is this. What you really meant is this. It's the same thing they're doing with Hegseth, and on these strikes. Like she's a perfect example. Is if you sound confident, people will just believe whatever the fuck you say. It doesn't matter if it's true or not. You just have to sound confident. Yeah. Well, good for Facts for going in there. You never feel good about yourself coming out of there. I assume then after, I could predict all of this. At some point, Facts, was he kicked or did he leave? We're talking about Millie. Millie versus Facts. I just want to see if I can predict this. Did Facts leave or did he get kicked? TikTokers. I know. He had to go and they claim he ran. Okay, yeah. And then once he ran, they all sat on a panel and talked about how nobody can debate Millie, right? That's what I thought. Can I pull it up? I don't. Did Fax live stream it? Or I mean, did he stream it to YouTube?
I don't know if he did or not. I can look and see.
It's like they should have known.
Ooh, I don't want to. I would have told you what we were going to cover tomorrow. Yeah, will you see if he has it? I don't know if he has it from yesterday. I'll jump into the show. If we have time, we can maybe go over it. Said I have 5 minutes left, and he left at 5 minutes. All right, cool. Amy said, new knowledge is sometimes very annoying. People who know little are worse than those who know nothing. That can be true. Yeah, that's really smart, actually. Amy's always really smart. All right, let's jump into today's show. Today the Pentagon decided they were going to roll out a whole bunch of new journalists, and I want to show you some of them. One of the new journalists who got a desk at the Pentagon here is Miss Laura Loomer. If you remember, the Pentagon basically told all of the real journalists in this world that if you were going to continue reporting on the Pentagon, you had to clear your stories through them, or else you couldn't post them. Which is a great way to to live by our freedom of the press. My mic's cutting in and out. Is that happening on YouTube too? Hey, Kristen. Not here? Okay. Don, it might just be you. Everybody else says it's good, so it might just be you.
Sounds fine to me.
Okay. Thank you. So Laura Loomer's there. Whoever this was said, what did they say? Actually, I just probably put the quote in my notes here. Laura Loomer is technically a journalist in the same way gas station sushi is technically food. It fits the definition on paper, but our stomachs know better. Then we had this dude, Vince Dow. I didn't know who that was. I had to go look them up. This was Vince Dow posing. Said, "I'm proud to announce that I'm official member of the press corp." They all had the same social media approach yesterday. They all posted a picture of themselves, or maybe this morning, whenever they were. They all posted next to either their desk or to the podium, and then they spent the rest of the day bickering and bragging about how they're like regime media. Here he is responding to whoever Cam is. Is that our Cam? Crikey Cam, who said, "Welcome to the Pentagon, King. Loving the new office view. Enjoy the pre-approval process on questions and publication. Wouldn't want any unscripted freedom breaking out there." Good roast. And Vince came back with, "It's just simply untrue and misreported. Journalists are not and were never required to pre-approve their questions or stories. Pentagon employees are to pre-approve info before they give it to the press, which is actually good policy. And mainstream journalists are throwing a fit because the government is practicing basic OPSEC and not encouraging their employees to commit treason." So now, in order for anybody to speak to these reporters, they have to go get approved by the Pentagon just to speak freely at all. And you'll see that from all of them. Cam Higbee, who super cool Twitter profile, by the way. Here was Cam Higbee out here. I don't know why he's posing in front of the lectern, because he won't be there. I don't know why he did that, but here he is showing how cool he is at the Pentagon. But I wanted to show you his Twitter profile. This. When was this? Where was he? Where was Cam Higbee that he needed to wear? Like, was it here? I don't know if did he take that picture? I don't know why he needed to be in like a full helmet and vest combo there. He looks like Tim Pool when Tim Pool's a journalist. They're all just LARPers. He said, "Because journalism degrees are useless and needlessly expensive, I just proved it. All you got to do is just suck the dick of this administration, and suddenly you're covering the Pentagon." You go from, I think he was a high school dropout, a hard life. It sounds like he was homeless at one point, and now he just went out there and started hanging out in the grundle of MAGA, and now he's covering the Pentagon. Citizen of the World told him that you don't have an ethical backbone to refuse the Pentagon's unethical conditions, that you're a stenographer rather than a journalist. Cam says, "Unethical conditions are that I can't publish information that is classified, CUI, or in national security interest without permission. Crazy that the most classified site in America has rules about information disclosure. Who would have guessed?" Now, he's saying something different than what Dow was saying. He's saying, I do have to get permission if I want to publish stuff. And I've got to get permission from the Pentagon. That's so cool, guys. We got MAGA here yet this morning? That's so cool. It's so cool that you guys have a total regime control over the media now. You just got rid of everybody. What do you call a 40-year high in inflation? A worldwide pandemic. That's what we call it. Could you guys get some new talking points? I'm getting bored of MAGA. We started this off, like somebody said we should do more debates. I'm so fucking bored with MAGA. I've been debating the same shit with you guys for like 6 years. Can you please get something new? Please? You're talking about inflation from 2022? Do we still have to talk about that in 2025? Can we please, just for the love of God, move into this year? I'll even debate you on stuff that happened earlier this year. But can we just like live in the moment or somewhere near the moment and not 4 years ago? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's boring. Like, what the fuck are we supposed to debate? Raging Tomato's been trying to get me to debate, and even the topics that she's trying to get me to debate, they don't want to debate what's going on. I'll pull these up. Let me get my DMs. The stuff she's asking me to come debate on, and what? Is Twitter asking me for a code? I don't know, a passcode. Somebody ever had that happen? Oh, there we go. I guessed it right. What was it? Are you pro DEI by chance? Are you pro anti-affirmative action? Will Nick Fuentes become the new face of the right? Should Americans support Palestine having their own state? That one would have been decent. I was in Mexico for that one. Like, they don't want to talk about any of this shit. And you can't talk about any of this shit, I guess, because then you have to be critical of the Trump administration. Are they just going to spend 4 years not talking about anything that Trump does? Just every once in a while, they'll be like, gas prices. There aren't any more Republicans. The Republicans have been replaced with the American KGB, maybe. No Melanin said, only they're allowed to release classified info. That's right. Yeah, he's the president, America is beautiful. And by the way, I haven't talked about him yet. Let me look at the outline. The outline mostly won't be talking about Trump today. This happened yesterday too, and we were in the middle of something, so I didn't do it. But somebody was saying the same shit yesterday. Again, you all say the same things. We're not talking about Trump right fucking now. And I didn't talk about him yesterday, really, and I didn't talk about him much today. He's not really doing anything. We're talking about the administration, but you guys think that anytime we talk about the administration, it's about Trump because all you ever think about is Trump. That's just full-on projection. I just sat there and talked about his press. His press? His press? Yeah, I'm responding to you, America is beautiful. You just sat there and talked about his press. Yeah, this is the thing. It's you. You guys are the ones with Trump derangement syndrome. Oh, I said his new press? Well, it is the new MAGA press regime. I think I said MAGA press regime. But if I said Trump, that's fine. But I'm going to talk about him. You know who I talked about a lot in the last presidency? Joe Biden. A lot. We talked about Joe Biden every single day. And not one of you was like, you guys talk about Joe Biden every day. Who the fuck do you want us to talk about? Tell me what I'm supposed to talk about. I'll take some direction from MAGA here. What would you like me to talk about today? What would you like me to discuss? Literally, no matter what we say, they hear Trump. Yeah. I've done one clip of Nick Fuentes. I don't know who the new leader of the Democrat Party is, and I'm not a Democrat. I think the Democrats are kind of leaderless right now. I think that that's one of their big problems. I think that people are really hesitant to unite around Gavin Newsom. I'm certainly not thrilled about trying to unite around Gavin Newsom. That would be a like plug my nose and vote situation. I don't think that the Democrats seem to have much of a leader right now, and I'll criticize them in a little bit. Yeah. You're just another person out there with no leader, no party, just wandering around. Yeah, I'm one of those people who thinks for myself. What are you doing over here? Wait. So you just wake up every morning with no leader and no direction, and you just try and figure this out yourself? Yeah, that's what human beings do. What's my criticism of Gavin? My criticism of Gavin is his obvious like lean towards corporatism all the time. Why is he not talking about universal health care? I kind of think the trolling's funny, but like I don't want the president to be a troll. I don't like that Trump's a troll. So how dumb am I going to look if I point out all the time that our president is a toddler and then I celebrate Gavin Newsom doing the same thing? I get it. It's kind of funny. But like, is that really what I want out of a president? Not really. If I could choose a leader right now, I would probably go with Shit, now I forgot his name. The dude from Texas. Somebody help me with his name. Holy shit. How am I blanking? That's how long it's been since we've talked about him. I do think my brain is breaking. Alaric? Tallarico. Thank you. Thanks, Kristen. Yeah, James Tallarico. That's probably where I would go. I like Pete Buttigieg. I'd like Bernie if he was 30 years younger. I like AOC, but not like a huge Gavin Newsom fan. I think Mark Kelly's going to try and run too. I don't hate Mark Kelly. I like that he doesn't take corporate PAC money, but it's such a winning message to talk about healthcare that anybody who's not talking about healthcare, I'm really frustrated with. Say no corporatism, but you had support for Pete Buttigieg. I like Pete. I think Pete Buttigieg is fine. I don't know what his where he's taking a bunch of corporate money, but I would criticize that. I don't think he takes APAC money. Let's see what Pete Buttigieg takes. It looks like we've Googled that before. He's never accepted money from APAC, as his campaign has pledged to refuse money from no corporate PACs and lobbyists. Okay, yeah. So yeah, I guess I'm right to support Pete Buttigieg there. 0 for 2 for you guys there. I just want somebody that's an effective communicator and can go in with an agenda of 1 or 2 things that they really, really need to get done and focus on those things. I would love to see him go in and take care of healthcare and get money out of politics. Those are the 2 big issues for me. So anybody who's talking about fixing healthcare and getting all money out of politics, I'm in. And I can overlook some other things that I might not like, but like those are the 2 big things for me. Anybody not running on those 2 issues is not running a winning campaign, in my opinion. That's not what Trump's doing. Trump. Yeah, that healthcare plan is going to be here any minute now. It's on its way. Guys, don't worry about it. Healthcare is on its way for Trump. What I'm going to do is we no longer want to give money to the healthcare companies. So we're going to give you the money so that you can give it to healthcare companies instead. Okay. Yeah, 100% of money out of politics and get rid of free healthcare. Wait, what? Get rid of free healthcare for politicians? I don't care if politicians have free healthcare. That doesn't bother me. I think they should. I think everybody should have maybe free. That's going to trigger the MAGA, but like universal healthcare. Everybody should have the same healthcare. I think that we can afford healthcare with no deductibles, no copays. Maybe if you're wealthy, you have a deductible and a copay. I'd be comfortable with that. But like most people in America should be able to go to the doctor without worrying, can I afford this? That's a crazy thing to do. I put off a lot of dental work. I've told you guys this last week when I got back from Mexico. I put off dental work for like 3 months just because it was going to be so much cheaper if I went to Mexico. I legitimately like would have had to go into debt. I was setting money aside to get my tooth fixed. And if I had done it here, I would have had to go into debt or wait like a little longer. So. Yeah, I don't think it triggers Griper. I do think that Nick Fuentes and I have a lot of overlap. The difference between Nick Fuentes and myself is I'm not a Nazi who wants the state to rule everything. I don't want to hand over all control to the federal government, and Nick Fuentes does. So I don't like authoritarianism, and that's where our overlap ends. I think that's why a lot of people wind up, not a lot, but there's people that watch this show and Fuentes every day. The difference is like I'm not trying to convince you guys to be a cuck for the government. I did not misinterpret that clip. Shut the fuck up. I did not misinterpret that clip. We can watch. You want to watch it again? Let's watch that clip again about Fuentes here. You tell me what I misinterpreted here. We'll go back there. Whoops. Have it from yesterday somewhere. Where is it? All right. Go ahead and tell me what I meant. You guys always misinterpret Nick. It's 2 minutes long. There's plenty of time for him to explain this.
Libertarianism is that liberty is not the highest political virtue. The highest political virtue is order.
How am I supposed to take that any different, Misfisted Trouble? That the highest order, like order comes before liberty. Explain it to me differently. Explain it to me like I'm for. You can't have liberty without order? Why? Why? You mean laws? Order and laws are not the same thing. You could say you can't have liberty without laws. Why didn't he say that? Why did he choose the word order? Let's keep going.
That is the greatest ordering principle. That is the greatest governing principle, order.
Okay, let's see if he means laws. Let's keep going.
Order comes first, liberty comes second, and order has to be maintained by a powerful state. Order has to be maintained by authority. And where does authority proceed from? Force, guns, overwhelming force, power that comes out of the end of a rifle.
Sounds like a police state to me. That sounds like a police state. Yeah, look, you guys will just do anything Nick says. He's talking about a police state. He's a Nazi. You guys can keep pretending you're not Nazis all day long, but like he's talking about a police state.
And legitimacy. The people have to believe in the authority of the state.
Don't tell me I didn't watch the show. Explain it to me differently, you pussy. God damn. You took it out of context. What do you mean? You didn't watch the show. Yeah, but what do you mean? Because everybody here seems to think that he's saying the same thing.
And if these things are being undermined by freedom, by liberty.
And once again, why can't any of you guys explain anything he says? Why are you all such cucky little bitches to Nick Fuentes? Every time I ask you guys every day, can you come up here and explain this to me? Can you debate what he has to say? No, just watch his show. Then you'll understand. Oh, okay.
Then you don't get liberty. And people like to say that Ben Franklin thing about liberty and safety, liberty and safety. It's about order and disorder. Forget about safety and liberty. It's about order and disorder. And what Hobbes writes is that even a bad order is better than disorder, than chaos, than a war of all against all, a total collapse of authority. Because do you know what happens?
He's compared, give me liberty or give me death. Why didn't he mention that? Why Hobbes? This is why you guys get confused and think he's a libertarian.
When the power goes out.
You think you can have liberty without order first? Try that in North Korea? Yeah. They have order, and the amount of order that they have takes away their liberty. Like what Nick Fuentes is talking about here takes away people's liberty. A police state takes away your liberty. Allowing Palantir into the government to control your every movement. I was just listening to Kristi Noem this morning talking about how they're tracking down immigrants and how they're able, like remotely now, to access everybody's social media and read their messages, and they're able to use facial recognition software to track people in real time. They just use the facial recognition, then they put it into their system, and now they're just tracking all of their movements. Yeah, North Korea is high on order, low on liberty.
Rape. Okay, rape. Murder, looting, pillage, marauding, barbarism, an orgy of the crowds, an orgy of violence.
Isn't it amazing how they went so quickly from like, we have to have a revolution, we have to fight back against this censorship regime, we got to have the liberty from our government, the government is too powerful, I'm Nick Fuentes, I'm canceled, I'm going to build my entire reputation and my entire brand around I'm canceled. And I say things that nobody can deal with. And then all of a sudden, we need the government to play a much bigger role. That's what we need. We need the government to play the biggest role possible. We really need daddy government here to enforce what we want. It's quite crazy how you guys switched like that. And I don't want to hear anything about you guys being free thinkers. That's enough Nick Fuentes for today. And that's enough Miss Fisted. That's as much attention as you get today. Let's move on with the show. All right, I want to go to Byron. Oh, actually, I know this is going to sound crazy because I was mocking these people at the Pentagon. This is the Pentagon spokesperson. I don't know her name. I have no fucking clue, and I didn't bother looking it up if anybody knows her name. But I do think that they're going to regret bringing in Laura Loomer. Because Laura Loomer's a lot of things. Crazy, yes. Racist, for sure. Zionist, abso-fucking-lutely, she's a Zionist. Dog shit human being, yes. Sexual predator, yes. She is a lot of things, mostly made of recycled materials, yes. A potential cyborg, yes. But she also asks tough questions. I'll get to those. I want to read these super chats real quick. Tennessee District 7, get out and vote for Afton Ben today. Make it happen, Tennessee. Republicans are all over. Like Mike Johnson's there. They had a bunch of people campaigning in Tennessee. They are very nervous about this. Everybody, welcome from the Fax Raid. Good to have you here. Amy said Costco sues Trump for 100% refund on all tariffs. I love Costco. I think I got that one too. But they're going to regret Laura Loomer because Laura Loomer is going to ask them questions that they don't really want to address. It's banned. B-E-H-N is banned. Bane? Oh, Bane. That makes more sense. Okay. Afton Bane. Thank you. This is a good question by Laura Loomer. I know, like, get your barf bags out, I guess. But we're going to find ourselves, I think, from time to time going, good question, Laura Loomer.
We'll continue to evaluate all of those to make sure, again, that national security is protected. That is the Secretary's utmost priority.
But given the fact that the Qatari royal family and Qatar itself is the biggest financier, along with Turkey, of course, the financier of the Muslim Brotherhood, would that relationship and partnership be reevaluated since the designation could possibly include Qatar?
I'm not tracking any reevaluation at this time, but again, the Secretary really keeps national security top of mind, and this administration does as well. So we will always make sure that American assets are protected.
That answer is not going to be okay for her. You can only do that 1 or 2 days. Just refuse to answer her question. She's going to get pissed. She's going to cause problems. I'm predicting right now that Laura Loomer will be the first of these new folks to lose her job in the Pentagon press pool. I don't know who that spokesperson is. No, it's not the presidential spokesperson. That is the Pentagon spokesperson. That's why it's not Caroline Leavitt. All right. I want to show you, like, when people come in here and say, like, talk about anything but Trump, I want to talk about what people are doing in Congress, but Congress isn't really doing anything. They went on vacation for like 3 months, and now that they're back, this is what Republicans are running with today. Here's Byron Donalds, the old media whore, out here criticizing people for wanting to be on TV while he every day scrambles to get on TV. And if you haven't seen this clip, it's as dumb as you'd expect.
President Trump also announcing that he's canceling all of President Biden's executive orders that were signed by an auto pen, which is like apparently 90-something% of these things. What does that do, sir? You're on the oversight committee, so you were looked into this. Judicial appointments, executive orders, pardons. Like what happens now?
Does everybody know? First of all, Trump can cancel those for any reason he wants. He could cancel Biden's executive orders because his fart smelled like fish. He doesn't need any reason. So, like, they're framing this that Trump's canceling it because of the auto pen, but Trump can just cancel them because he wants to, because they're executive orders and he has the right to do that. But what it doesn't mean is that there now is like some sort of mechanism by which you can go and undo everything Joe Biden did if he signed it with an auto pen.
I think what happens is it invalidates all those orders as long as they can prove that it was signed by the auto pen. And let's be clear, I don't think Joe Biden.
No, you don't have to prove it. Byron Donalds is one of the most uniquely stupid people in Congress. He never knows what the fuck he's talking about. You do not have to prove they were signed by auto pen to cancel out an executive order. You just write a new executive order.
Biden was signing much of anything. I think a lot of this stuff was being done by auto pen, and the key thing is being done by auto pen without his knowledge. And one thing that's very clear from the Oversight Committee investigation to this point, anybody with key detailed knowledge about Joe Biden's mental capability was pleading the fifth in our closed-door depositions. That's what they were doing. So they don't even want to go on the record speaking to the...
I love them all shaking their head. I can't believe they pled the fifth. The entire Trump administration pled the fifth. It's honestly like, it's truthfully, it sucks, but it's what they should do. There's executive privilege. If you work in the executive branch, you don't have to testify about the mental state of the president. That's not your role. You have executive privilege there. None of these people that were around Joe Biden are doctors. So anything you say is just going to get twisted and warped by a bunch of other people in the room who aren't doctors. This is nonsense. It's just because they don't want, they have nothing to legislate because Trump has told them, hey guys, don't fucking do anything. Just sit around and investigate Joe Biden. Don't pass any laws. You can just take a 3-month vacation. It's fine. Use all of your time investigating Democrats.
competency of Joe Biden. They rather plead the fifth and move on. Wow. So I think the president is making the correct call. Anything signed by an auto pen is null and void.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's not true. But it gets so much weirder. And I think this is what happens when you just have nothing. Do you remember Patrick Byrne? Patrick Byrne was one of the people that a lot of Trumpers were pretty upset that they let in the Oval Office. This is one of the psychos that convinced Trump the election was stolen and convinced him to stop listening to his attorney general, to his campaign chair, to election officials, to the FEC, to everybody. And Patrick Byrne, he was the former CEO of Overstock.com. I believe maybe the founder as well. And he's on Alex Jones. And I won't even preface it. The conspiracy theory that he lays out here, I promise you're not ready for. And it goes just without any pushback from Alex Jones. Is that not Steve? That's Ozempic Steve Bannon right there. That was a good one, Cassius.
They're now turning on their former bosses, which shows they know they're done. I mean, explain how big a deal that is to have their top people, because it's not just, they've already gone to the White House. Then the White House says, well, then go show us. If we were to trust you, go public. They're now going public. So explain what happened last week.
Well, networks, a general rule is networks under pressure break down. They start breaking down, people turn on each other. So just by keeping the pressure on over a long time, it's breaking down. People are off trying to make their own deals. People are not, roll early, roll often. When you're in a mafia like this, you want to be one of the first guys to roll. It doesn't do you any good to wait till other people have given up the information. But yeah, they recently came out, Michelle Obama, in the last days of Biden, Michelle Obama went in and used the auto pen. I think there were 4 or 5.
She still had the key. She just strolled into the White House and grabbed the auto pen. This is Patrick Byrne, former Overstock CEO and one of the key architects of the election was stolen shit. He spent millions of dollars trying to prove it was stolen. We want to hear that one more time.
But yeah, they recently came out, Michelle Obama, in the last days of Biden, Michelle Obama went in and used the auto pen. I think there were 4 or 5 pardons she gave. And then you'd love to see, who knows if they charged $1 million a pardon? Who knows how that's so illegal. That is so illegal.
Yeah, and also not real. None of that is real. She probably charged $1 million per pardon. She used the tunnels underneath the White House. Fuck, I forgot about the tunnels. I forgot all about the tunnels beneath the White House. Is this why they're demolishing the East Wing, to get rid of Michelle Obama's entrance so she can't come in and just use the auto pen?
But they've gotten away with murder for 17 years. There's no rule of law on all these crazy scandals that you've talked. There's no rule of law.
I watch body language. I've seen Obama in the few interviews he's done. He is a stuttering idiot. He is scared. All of his bravado is gone.
Well, for the first time in life,
yeah, because he's the one that told Michelle where the fucking tunnels were and how to get to the auto pen. He's melting down over this. It's all he could think about. Oh no, they caught Michelle using the auto pen.
He hasn't got a bunch of people carrying him, and he's turned gray. I mean, he just looks terrible. I'm sorry to say.
All right, listen, brother. I know that I have the least flattering color scheme happening on my face right now that's possible. You can't talk about people looking horrible. That's not fair. You can't do that.
I don't want him ill health, but he overthrew the country, and I'm saying that as a guy who worked for him. I was a national intelligence asset directly under his pen, and I'm telling you this all
under his pen. Patrick Byrne worked for Obama. What is he talking about here? He's alleged that he'd been part of a deep state plot by Obama officials to control the next. Well, hold on. Hold on. What is this? While it is true that Byrne did not have a relationship with Overstock during these events, he did take part in wild conspiratorial claims while he was still CEO. In fact, in an official Overstock press release in August 2019, Byrne would release a conspiratorial statement about the deep state and supposed political espionage that was being conducted by the Obama administration against Trump and Hillary. The press release can still be found. Let's see this. Shortly after he was revealed to be having a romantic relationship with Wait, isn't Maria Butina? Hold up. Isn't Maria Butina the one that did the Trump Tower meeting? Hold on. Thanks for the subs. Butina pled guilty to acting as an unregistered foreign agent for Russia, a role that involved trying to get established connections between Russian government and Trump campaign. Oh, this is the one that got caught. Oh, okay. She also was romantically involved with Republican activist Paul Erickson. Goddamn, she was cultivating. Let's see this press release here. Is Overstock Bed Bath & Beyond now? Oh, yeah. All right. Well, I don't think it's going to show us this press release. Say what he was. All right. I don't know. I'll have to try and find that. Oh, here it is. In response to recent news about him, Overstock has no association or affiliation with Patrick Byrne and has not for almost 3 years. This was 2022. He left the company in August 2019, more than a full year before the election. He sold all his Overstock shares. Since then, he has not been connected with Overstock. His personal political beliefs and actions are his own. All right. I don't know. I would love to find that press release. Anyways, he's very upset about, and we all should be upset about Michelle Obama sneaking in and using the auto pen.
He tried to overthrow the United States government. It all started Thanksgiving of 2015. It's when it really all, at the very least, it really all started then.
All right, stay there. Let's go to Venezuela next.
the Obama close-up. Looking just a million times better. Obama looks terrible, says this guy. And then they give us the Obama close-up. Or close-up.
Stay there. Let's go to Venezuela next. Stay with us.
He looks so much better than you, dude. All right, so whatever we're doing with the auto pen, I can't even figure out what they're claiming with the auto pen. But I think mostly the reason they're talking about it is because nobody wants to talk about Pete Kegg's breath. I am going to cover this tomorrow, but I wanted you to be aware of it. And if anybody's heard anything about this, if anybody has articles to support this, will you send it to me? I'm playing this and telling you in advance. I haven't been able to dig into this enough to verify all of these claims. This is what in Clay Nation, and I'm mostly showing it so if you guys have heard about this, you can send me stuff so that I can dig into it. But this is alarming if true.
The U.S. Army, at the direction of Pete Hegseth, is actively covering up the largest sexual misconduct scandal in the history of the United States military. A U.S. Army major currently stationed at Fort Hood, Texas, is under investigation for inappropriately touching more than 65 women who have filed a lawsuit against him. And the Army's Criminal Investigation Division, they have found more than 3,000 victims' photographs and videos of examinations this major conducted and recorded without their consent. Girls as young as 12 years old, women, both active duty and spouses of active duty members of the military. Spanning back almost a decade, this major had sexual misconduct complaints against him by members of the military and their family, and the Army refused to do anything. And now, because of Pete Hegseth's involvement, the Army is purging medical records that these individuals would need to file claims against this doctor. Because Pete Hegseth has changed the reporting requirements for nuisance claims of misconduct against men in the military. And they have to bring forth proof. And part of that proof would be these medical records that the Army is actively purging, claiming that they're upgrading systems and they didn't migrate over old records. Pete Hegseth is actively attempting to protect somebody who has serially conducted themselves in an inappropriate manner with women and children, who recorded people without their consent in vulnerable positions and circumstances and touched them inappropriately. And the Army's trying to make sure at Pete Hegseth's command that you don't know anything about it.
It tracks. And I think the reason it tracks, Pete Hegseth, as he became secretary, one of the things that he did was he basically said, we're going to make it a lot more difficult for people to anonymously report. We're going to, yeah, why is he in our bed telling us? I don't know. That's a good question, Patrick. I don't know why he's in his bed there. Fair question. But one of the things Pete Hegseth did specifically is said, like, I'm going to make sure that if you report something, that you can't do it anonymously anymore. Which is a crazy thing to do for victims. And I think it has something to do with maybe people like Pete Hegseth. Is this? Yeah, I think this is the one. A nurse at Kaiser Permanente in blank reported suspicious circumstances to occurred at the Hyatt Hotel at One Old Golf Course Road in Monterey. After a patient came in requesting a sexual assault exam, the patient was allegedly sexually assaulted at the Hyatt Hotel between 10/7/17 and 10/8/17. I recommend this case be forwarded to the investigations for their review. This is just doctors being mandatory reporters saying, we want to review this. This is about Pete Hegseth. Pete Hegseth does this. Pete Hegseth didn't like that this came out about him. Pete Hegseth paid to try and bury this and couldn't bury it. Somebody who said that? Rory said his own mom wrote him that he's too far gone. Yeah, his mom came out and was like, oh, you're a sexual predator. This is what happens when you surround, like, this administration is full of sexual predators. I received a telephone detail from Nurse Blank at Kaiser Permanente and I'm assuming Monterey. Blank informed me that a patient had come into their center requesting sexual assault examination. Blank said the patient wished to be identified as Jane Doe, said that Doe was in between Monterey, saying at Old Golf Course in the Hyatt Hotel for Business, said that at some point late at night on 10/7/17 or early in the morning on 10/8/17, Doe was at the Hyatt consuming alcohol with coworkers. Blank said Doe was not sure, but believes that something may have been slipped into her drink, and she cannot remember most of the night's events. Blank said that Doe remembers being in one of her coworkers' hotel rooms and remembers being ejaculated on. Blank said Doe could not remember whether or not any sexual penetration occurred, but believes she was sexually assaulted at that time. Blank said that Doe had then returned to her home in Blank and had come into Kaiser Permanente on 10/12/17 to request a sexual assault exam. Blank said that she was reporting this incident as she was a mandated reporter. Blank said that she was going to refer Doe to an emergency hospital room for examination. I asked Blank if Doe would like to speak with Monterey PD concerning this incident or if she'd be willing to come back to Monterey PD to discuss it. Blank said that Doe was not sure what she wanted to do at this point and did not even want to disclose the suspect's name at this point. Blank said that Doe simply wanted the exam done at this point. I informed Blank that Doe had the right to go to a hospital and have an exam conducted anonymously if she so wished. I informed Blank that I would document her statements in this incident within a suspicious circumstances report. I informed Blank of the case number. She eventually did report it to police, and then she was paid off to take it back. Pete Hegseth said, well, why would he pay that money if he didn't do it? We might be better. You know what, Mark? We might be good at losing elections, but the one thing that you guys are good at is pretending or just not caring about sexual assault. These aren't allegations. No convictions. All right, fine. It's not surprising that the dude who hangs out with incels all day was going to blame the woman and not Pete Hegseth. It's not surprising. MAGA has absolutely lost it, and they've lost it behind. Like Pete Hegseth has lost it behind a cross, and Megyn Kelly now she's also lost it behind a cross. I'm tired of these people openly promoting their Christianity while saying horrific shit like this. We're going to move away from Pete Hegseth's sexual assault accusations, and we're now going to talk about Pete Hegseth just murdering people in international waters, and Megyn Kelly just being like, fuck it.
So I really do kind of not only want to see them killed in the water, whether they're on the boat or in the water, but I'd really like to see them suffer. I would like Trump and Hegseth to make it last a long time so that they lose a limb and bleed out a little.
I don't like that they drone striked them. Why don't we torture them instead? Again, we don't even know if these people were running drugs. We have no idea because they've provided us no evidence that they were running drugs. They certainly weren't coming to America. We can say that definitively, that these people who were murdered in international waters were not coming to America. If they were coming to America, statistically, it's almost certain that after whatever was on their boat made it to America, it was going to be cocaine, which is a drug that Pete Hegseth is a big fan of. It's a drug that a lot of people in Washington are a big, big fan of. It's not the one that we're worried about the most, but Megyn Kelly, without any evidence, is now just be like, let's torture some people. It's been a while since we've tortured some people.
I'd like to see them suffer. I would like Trump and Hegseth to make it last a long time so that they lose a limb and bleed out a little. Like, I'm really having a difficult time ginning up sympathy for these guys who 10 seconds earlier almost got taken out by the initial bomb, but because they managed to get ejected, a little too soon, had to be taken out in the water. I realize legally it may make a difference, but truly, Mark, this is a tough case to really gin up the sympathies of the American people.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I don't like torture. I guess that's the difference between like the atheist left and the Christian right. I think that if you torture somebody, that says a lot about you. I think that the person who gets tortured, no matter the crime that they've done, the person who advocates for torture, I think that that says a lot about you. I watched, it's all of them. I don't know why they're so bloodthirsty. I think it's a lot of like fake bravado. I think that it's a lot of people who live in their own little safe echo chambers and they want to act tough. This reminds me, let me see if I can find this from today. I responded to something on Twitter, but just like, this is the shit that right-wingers are doing. They just like, they sit around and beat off to violence. This dude here, I'll go, holding up a sign that parents, please stop sending your kids to school with the idea someone hits you, you hit them back. You are part of the problem. Now, look, I've got a daughter. And if somebody hits my daughter, I've told her, you don't have to hit them back. If they're a threat to you, you can fight back. You do your thing. That I to some extent I understand, like you don't just let yourself get hit. To some extent I do, but a lot of like if you get pushed, do you need to punch somebody in the face? It just says a lot about your lack of control. And this guy, who look, no disrespect here, but I'm just gonna guess he's not a great fighter. Listen to how he talks about what he tells his kids.
Look at this.
Yeah, if someone starts a fight, you finish it. You can finish a fight without murdering them. I don't. Like I've been in fights. I've been hit and walked away. I can tell you what, the fights that I was in, I was more proud of walking away than the fight. I think it takes a lot of self-control to walk away. It takes no self-control to fight back. I do think there's a time you have to fight. But this thing that we're teaching, like, oh, if they hit you, you have to listen to this, how this guy talks about children.
Fucking dude who sits when he pees. Parents, please stop sending your kids to school with the idea someone hits you, you hit them back. You are part of the problem. I beg to differ. If your child is bullying my child and hitting my child,
it's probably because their dad's a dipshit, first of all, so change that. But listen to this, like, if this guy said, if somebody's bullying my child or hitting my child, I tell my kid to hit back. I'd be like, all right, that's fair. That's fine to tell your kid to hit back. These are children, and here's what he's about to say about children.
My child has full permission to kick your child's chest through his fucking back. I'm not raising a fucking victim. I'm raising a fuck around and find out kind of child.
You're raising a psychopath.
And if your kid wants to play stupid games, he's gonna win stupid prizes. If your kid punches or slaps my kid and your kid wears glasses, my kid will turn them into contacts. If your kid comes up and starts windmilling his nasty little lunchable sticky hands at my son and hits him, my son will fuck him up. And
you gotta get, like, why are you thinking about this? Why are you running through these scenarios where your kid like murders another kid and then posting that online? That's so weird. This is what happened. Like, you're just too comfortable. You're not about that, dude. We see you. That's not who you are.
And then when the school calls me and tells me to come pick him up, I'm going to take him out for ice cream. I'm not sending my kid to school to be the fucking stress ball for some unparented little fucking gremlin. So maybe you should teach your kids to not hit people and bully people. Because if your son does bully or hit my son has full permission to fold your fucking child like a lawn chair at a family cookout.
Look, you got real undefined features and a fucking round face and no jawline to be talking like this. That's a lot of fake bravado from this guy. He's talking about kids. This is so pathetic, but this is what like being on the right is. I'm going to make a video about how tough I am and how I take no shit. You called Donald Trump a fascist. Yeah, it's all tough. It's all tough all the time. Did you see the way that woman looked at an ICE agent? I'm glad he shot her with a rubber bullet and pepper spray. He's giving 5-5 energy. Yeah.
Talking fucking origami
That comb over's doing a lot of work right there. It's doing a lot of work.
Style, all right? By the time my kid...
How do I know he's on the right? Because he's on the fucking right. That's how I know.
...is done, your kid will look like a sad...
Probably a Nick Fuentes fan. You guys all look and sound the same.
Sad little paper crane wondering...
Also, I looked through his Twitter history.
What the fuck happened?
Yeah. It's all just fake bravado, fake tough guy shit. And I don't know if it's like a fitting in thing. I guess how my Republican friends talk when I golf. They're just always inventing some scenario where they're like, I'd fuck that guy up. You never talk to me like that. It's like, nobody talks to you like that anyways. And when they do, you're not going to do anything about it because it's silly. Stop being upset by words. All right. Sorry, I got a little sidetracked there. Did I miss any? Amy said, my daughter was a state wrestler. Fucking Amy's daughter. Amy's daughter in the chat. I still did not allow her to hit back. We're smarter. I went in and threatened to call law enforcement for assault. Parents took their kid out of school. Brains over brawn. One of my best friends, he has raised his kids. They all do jujitsu. I think that's actually a really cool thing. I have a lot of friends who have put their kids in jujitsu, which I really like because jujitsu is a form of fighting where you can kind of just hold somebody down until they calm down. I like that. I'm a big fan of jiu-jitsu, wrestling, but telling your kid to take their glasses and shove them through their eyes is an insane thing to tell a child. Don't say that. Illusion said the callous nature has got to be either methylene blue, brainworms, or toxoplasmosis. Fuck these horrific people. Johnny says, I'm in for chemo this week. Johnny, sorry, I'm laughing as I read this, but I love you, Johnny. You know that. I'm in for chemo this week. My bone marrow biopsy is clear. Here's my daily support. Did you get mine yesterday? My love to other struggles too. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I read it, Johnny. You might have missed it. Hope you're doing well. And maybe take the conservative way, Johnny, and just start threatening your chemo with physical violence. Maybe that'll make it go away. Or not chemo, the cancer, excuse me. I hope you're doing good, buddy. Love seeing you here every day. What is toxoplasmosis? Toxoplasm. Is an infection caused by the parasite Toxoplasma gondii, commonly spread through contact with cat feces, undercooked meat, or contaminated water. While most people with healthy immune systems have no symptoms, it can cause flu-like symptoms and is dangerous for infants and individuals with weakened immune systems. For pregnant women with those compromised immunity, it can lead to severe complications, including miscarriage, birth defects, or inflammation of the brain and eyes. God damn. Well, they do hang around with Cat Turd a lot. Isn't that ironically one of their biggest content creators is Cat Turd? That kind of makes sense. Can also make you love cats. All right. Here's Hillary Rosen. She's talking to, I didn't take good notes here. Pull this up. On what's this CNN show called? She's talking to Sargon here. And I think that it's important that a lot of pushback happens with Republicans right now. I will say this about Republicans. They stick together and they follow orders and they take orders and they toe that line. And it's obvious what's happened right now. It's obvious that Pete Hegseth ordered a double tap strike. It's obvious that they don't have evidence that these are alleged drug traffickers were coming to America. We don't even know if they have drugs. We certainly could have intercepted them, which would have made a lot more sense. I said that yesterday, but like if you really want to stop the flow of drugs, maybe you try and go and take down the cartel by infiltrating it, getting some information rather than just blowing everybody out. But Hillary Rosen had a great response there. I don't know her. She's a Democratic strategist. Good point here by Hillary Rosen.
The only reason we know about this is because obviously somebody involved in that operation was uncomfortable with what was happening.
Yeah.
Triple Tap is also the name of Miss Fisted's sex tape. 1, 2, 3, and we're done. Thanks for joining my stream today. I hope you're as disappointed as she was.
The only reason we know about this is because obviously somebody involved in that operation was uncomfortable with what was happening.
Yeah.
And that's how the Washington Post found out about it. Somebody leaked this to a reporter. People are not happy with Hegseth's leadership at the department. People are not happy with some of the things that the military is being ordered to do, whether it's the SEAL team, whether it's ENCOM, whether it's... and I think that we have to pay attention to the fact that this isn't coming from some random reporter who was on the boat with them. This is coming from an internal source who is unhappy with the leadership of the administration. The only
Those are two pretty...
report.
A lot of you comment. That's two pretty wild hairstyles right there. I appreciate that split there. But it is, I think that's something I missed. Like people inside the Pentagon, which has been gutted of any, like we thought of anybody who wasn't a complete loyalist. You know that these people are mostly loyalists. And even those that still remain at the Pentagon leaked this to journalists because they're like, this is a problem. We're just killing people. I think that's a really important thing to remember. That you Republicans, when you try and criticize all of us for covering this, please remember that it is a member of the military, somebody who serves this country under this administration, under Pete Hegseth. They saw what happened and they said, And when the Oversight Committee and the Armed Services Committee got wind of this, Republicans on both those committees said, fuck, this isn't good. We're going to have to investigate this. So as much as you want to play the game of like, duh, this is nothing. What about Obama? Raise your hand if you've heard me call Obama the drone striker in chief. Raise your hand if you've heard me criticize Joe Biden for playing patty cake with Israel as they carpet bombed Gaza. Some of us are consistent. A lot of you were talking about Obama and drone strikes. A lot of you were talking about Biden. You never brought up the drone strikes under Trump, who did way more drone strikes than President Obama. You stopped talking about it during that time, unless I brought up that Trump was doing targeted strikes, and then you're like, but Obama. You guys don't talk about this. We talk about this all the time. I don't like indiscriminately killing people. I don't like killing people that don't pose a threat. And that's a good point to bring up, Haley. As much as I hate what Obama did, and he was wrong for that, they were approved by Congress. We actually had a declaration of war. Congress was funding the war. We all understood that we were at war. This is different. There is no war here. We're just killing people in the ocean and saying, oh, they're probably running drugs. Caroline Leavitt was asked about this. Because I think that, I don't care what Republicans say, I think there's some questions about whether or not this was legal, and I would love to get one of them to explain to me how it's legal. And I think this is why they're struggling. And Caroline is visibly struggling. She does this, she has a bad tell when she knows she doesn't have an answer. She's not dumb. She's been at this job long enough that she has a basic understanding of what's going on. And she's also in back rooms where this is being discussed. And I can only imagine that in those rooms, Donald Trump is very upset that Pete Hegseth is making him look bad. Now, out in public, it's a united front. But you'll see this thing she does when she struggles you. You'll see her calm her nervous system. Great trick, by the way. She does it all the time. But they don't have an answer for why this is legal.
Following from Gabe's question.
No cross. Good point. No cross. Well, it's a high neck. The cross is just meant to point at the cleavage, I think, most of the time. So with a higher neck, we're not doing the cross.
You said that the follow-up strike was lawful. What law is it that allows no survivors?
The strike conducted on September 2nd was conducted in self-defense to protect Americans in vital United States interests.
Let's say what? Self-defense. Self-defense as a law requires evidence. Even in places like Florida and Texas, where like stand your ground laws are used pretty loosely, there has to be some sort of imminent threat. Self-defense? You're gonna, in order for you to win this case, if this was in a court of law, you would have to prove, one, that those boats had drugs on them, which you can't prove because those boats are at the bottom of the ocean. Two, you would have to prove that the people that were on that boat were involved in drug trafficking, which you can't because they're dead. Three, you would have to prove that they were coming to America, which would be really fucking hard to do considering the boats that you blew up could never have made it all the way to America. They never would have reached our shores. They would have had to go through other channels. They are citing self-defense. These people, if they lose power, they're going to jail. Except for Trump will probably pardon them. I keep saying that, and then I remember that it's Donald Trump and that none of them will go to jail because he'll just pardon all of them. Even if Trump steps down, J.D. Vance will just pardon them. But yeah, that's why they can't turn on Trump. They're all in this together now. If any of them turn on Trump, they're off the pardon list.
The strike was conducted in international waters and in accordance with the law of armed conflict.
On this pardon for the Honduran president, following up on Gabe's question, you said that the...
I understand what you're saying. Like there could be classified information, but like what... if there's classified information that these people were bringing drugs into this country, why wouldn't you at least declassify some of that? Or why wouldn't you cite that and say, we can't give you this information, but we have credible evidence? They're just saying it was self-defense. They're not laying out a very good defense there. I don't think you, and even then, I don't think that you could even make the argument that somebody bringing cocaine into this country warrants them being murdered. We have laws in this country. You don't get murdered. You don't get murdered for trying to smuggle drugs into this country. We have laws. Yeah, that's a good point, Shaw Moore. The law of armed conflict is the Geneva Convention. They broke those laws too. And so Republicans in media, like we saw with Megyn Kelly, they know it's against the law. So since they can't talk about that, they have to go, I don't care. We're going to talk about this. You guys care about these people? What about homeless veterans? They'll just do that same dumb fucking thing that they always do. Well, you care about breaking the law here? What about trans women? What about homeless veterans? They'll just never address it. All right. I want to show you though that Pete Hegseth gave us warnings that he was going to do this. And we talked about it at the time, and MAGA's like, he'll never do that. He'll never do anything illegal. You guys are talking about shit that would never happen. Remember, you know what we're not talking about this week very much, Republicans? We're not talking an awful lot about that video of the Seditious Six about defying unlawful orders. This week, we're not talking about that because it looks like that warning that they gave was too late. We had already obeyed unlawful orders. Notice nobody's talking about that today.
You've got to do it along all three levels. I mean, tactically, first of all, you have to untie the hands of warfighters, get the lawyers off the front lines or off the backs of guys. There's always going to be Army lawyers. I get it. But they need to be defending our troops more than trying to prosecute them and creating all these complicated laws that say, even in a civilian environment, in a complex neighborhood, if you kill one civilian, you're the bad guy. You can't.
Yeah. No, Mike, good point. Yeah. Don't kill innocent people. That's controversial now. In MAGA, that's controversial. Oh, what? You can't just kill innocent people now? What the fuck? Well, we got to get rid of the lawyers in the military that hold us accountable. We need to remember, this is the accountability guy, transparency guy. We got to get rid of all this accountability and just let us do whatever the fuck we want.
Fight and win a war that way. Operationally, you need to have.
I think they're trying to sell a book. I don't know, Noodle Poodle Girl. It's hard to say if they're trying to sell a book there.
Battalions of brigades where these lieutenant colonels and colonels are totally invested in having the backs of their guys and know exactly what.
Yeah, well, this isn't war, Miss Fisted. We're not at war. War isn't pretty, but you also still don't kill innocent people in war. Right? You're definitely not supposed to do that. Yeah, but we don't really care about that. We just say dumb shit like, oh, war's messy. Oh, have you ever served? We just say dumb shit so that we can ignore the fact that we're murdering people without any due process at all. But this isn't a war. This isn't a war with Venezuela. There is no war. We just murdered some people. And even if those people were trafficking drugs, the sentence for that is not murder. You don't get sentenced to death for trafficking drugs here. That's not a death penalty. Yeah, what happened to no new war? They went from no new wars to let's do all the regime change wars right now, please. Please, can we do another regime change war? We're getting bored without regime change wars. Let us do some more regime change wars. Then there's this. I think this was the speech he gave in front of the troops. This was, in Quantico. Remember the one where Trump told him, guys, you can cheer, and nobody cheered? I think this is when it started. I think this is when the people in the military that are leaking these stories came together and said, look, on the in front of Pete, we got to look like we have his back. But behind his back, we're going to leak shit when it's bad. Kristi, thank you for joining the Dollar Train. I appreciate you. Illusion said micro D, poser energy. I like that.
We fight to win. We unleash overwhelming and punishing violence on the enemy.
I think that's also what his victim said in Monterey that he did.
We also don't fight with stupid rules of engagement. We untie the hands of our warfighters to intimidate, demoralize, hunt, and kill the enemies of our country. No more politically correct and overbearing rules of engagement. Just common sense, maximum lethality, and authority for warfighters. That's all I ever wanted as a platoon leader.
I was so mad when they just wouldn't let me kill. Remember when I told you guys my goal was to kill all Muslims? It used to drive me nuts when I was a platoon leader when the pesky government would step in and be like, you can't just kill all Muslims. And he's like, but I want to kill all Muslims. And they're like, no, you can't kill all Muslims. And now that I'm the Secretary of Defense, kill all Muslims. We can just do this. Kill whoever the fuck you want.
And it's all my E6 squad leaders ever wanted, back to that E6 rule. We let our leaders fight their formations, and then we have their back. It's very simple, yet incredibly powerful.
Yeah, it's war crimes. Taking bar talk is literal? This is bar talk? Oh, you're talking about kill all Muslims? Look, dude, if you are a person at a bar that gets drunk and says kill all Muslims, you're just a shitty person. Like nobody says that without honestly believing that. Nobody would say that. Unless they actually believe that. That's a crazy thing to say. And by the way, this was at like a fundraiser event. This wasn't like him and his buddies and somebody overheard it. This was at a fundraiser. And he was saying, kill all Muslims. And just because there was an open bar doesn't mean it was bar talk. It just means that Pete Hegseth is a fucking alcoholic. Wait a minute, Johnny says, is that a fucking tan suit? This guy wearing a tan suit in front of the troops. Where's the respect? Tan suits in front of the troops. I bet he probably complained. Is there a clip of him complaining about a tan suit? Let's see. If that exists, gold star for everybody. Pete Hegseth, tan suit. See if he ever brought it up. Obama. Please be one. Please be one. Please be one. All right, I don't see one off the top. If anybody finds a clip of Pete Hegseth talking about Obama in a tan suit, let me know. Also, a good reminder for all of you to always shut the fuck up that your party lost their minds with the tan suit. Fox News under Biden Jesse Waters ran like 50 segments on how it was gay to eat ice cream. and gay to eat soup. Like, I don't, let's not talk about us taking things literally, or we're talking about murdering people. All right. Here is Caroline Levitt again. I don't know who's the reporter here. Because at first they came out and they said that there wasn't a double strike, but then when it was confirmed that there was a double strike, they had to change course. And now here's a reporter asking Caroline Levitt for clarification.
Regarding Venezuela, the president said yesterday that Secretary Hegseth had denied that second strike, that reported second strike on an alleged drug vote on September 2nd, the secretary said to the president that didn't happen. But to clarify, I just wanted you to clear this up. In his social media post, Secretary Hegseth didn't go into details about that strike. He just said U.S. operations in the area were lawful, and he said that the story and media reports were fabricated. So to be clear, does the administration deny that second strike happened, or did it happen and the administration denies that Secretary Hegseth gave the order?
Now remember, on the airplane, Donald Trump said, I didn't know about the second strike. Nobody told me about the second strike. If there was a second strike, that's a problem. So that's why now we're a little stuck here, because Trump had basically said, like, the double tap, that's not good. Oh, 2 tan suits. Good point. 2 tan suits in one day. Good call, One Love.
The latter is true, Abe, and I have a statement to read for you here. President Trump and Secretary Hegseth have made it clear that presidentially designated narco-terrorist groups are subject to lethal targeting in accordance with the laws of war. With respect to the...
You have to declare war. We've not declared war. You can't unilaterally do that as Secretary of State. You can't just say that's like, imagine just if that application were true, we could literally just declare anybody a terrorist and kill them, unalive them. Sorry, Jen keeps getting mad at me that I say all the wrong words on TikTok. They're going to ban me anyways at some point. So I guess whatever. Ryan said for the show. Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate it. Like, isn't that an insane thing to come out of her mouth? Oh, we can just say that somebody's an enemy and now we get to do whatever we want. Now we're at war. That's not how the Constitution works. That's why Republicans in Congress right now are meeting saying, we can't do this. I do think this is going to cost Pete Hegseth his job. I think they're going to try and, I'll show you here in a second, they're going to try and dump it off on somebody else. But I think ultimately this may cost Pete Hegseth his job.
Strikes in question on September 2nd, Secretary Hegseth authorized Admiral Bradley to conduct these kinetic strikes.
There it is. Oh, it's Admiral Bradley. They're lying about this, by the way. This is all going to come back. They really need to have better people around them. They really shouldn't come out and say shit like this when there's tape proving otherwise.
Strikes. Admiral Bradley worked well within his authority and the law, directing the engagement to ensure the boat was destroyed and the threat to the United States of America was eliminated. And
regarding Venezuela.
All right. Get to that. Let me update the goal. Just a reminder, guys, we are crowdfunded, and I appreciate those who have participated in the crowdfunding today. You know how to do it. We're on TikTok today, so we got to be careful with how we say it. But we do rely on your generosity to meet our goals every single day, both physically, spiritually, emotionally, and cognitively. So thank you guys so much for participating in that. You know the way to go about that. Also, just a reminder, we have paid subscriptions wherever you're watching. You can pay to subscribe. That helps us continue to function here, and it gives you access to our members-only events. You will also notice that as I've been trying to put out more content and clips, if you are a member, you get access to that content before everybody else. So just another perk outside of helping us and supporting our work. You also get a few extra bennies there. Last night we watched a movie together in Discord. It was a great time. If you want to join us for that, make sure you're a paid member wherever you're watching today. All right, so now we've got the fall guy, and that is Admiral Bradley. Obviously, we can't take down Pete Keg's breath. Gotta blame Bradley for that. Pete Hegseth. I keep saying Keg's breath. Man, it's just sometimes last names are hard for me. Old Keg's breath said this. Let's make one thing crystal clear. Admiral Mitch Bradley is an American hero, a true professional, and has my 100% support. I stand by him in the combat decisions he has made on the September 2 mission and all other sense. America is fortunate to have such men protecting us. When this Department of War says we have the back of our warriors, we mean it. Well, I think that you're throwing him under the bus, Pete, and I think you're lying about it. I think that what you're trying to signal to the world is like you stand by your people no matter what. I don't think Bradley is the one that made that call, and I think we have video evidence that says Bradley wasn't the one in charge there. Here is Pete Hegseth talking about that particular strike and how it all went down and what he had to say.
So the president is sending a message to other cartels, right?
A very clear one. I can tell you that was definitely not artificial intelligence. I watched it live. We knew exactly who was in that boat. We knew exactly what they were doing.
Whoop. Whoop. Oh, we watched it live. So chain of command. Yeah, she did say that Hegseth. Well, she kind of said that Hegseth gave the order to Bradley. What the Republicans are pushing back on now is the double tap. I think all of this is illegal, and I think Republicans are giving him cover right now. But whoops, he was there.
And we knew exactly who they represented. And that was Tren de Aragua, a narco-terrorist organization designated by the United States, trying to poison our country with illicit drugs.
So the president is...
No proof of that, by the way. But uh-oh, SpaghettiOs. If it was Bradley giving the orders, which likely could happen, it could be Bradley that was running command there, and you could have just had Pete Hegseth watching. If Bradley is issuing illegal orders, why is Pete not stepping in? He just said, I stand behind him 100%. He said, he has my 100% support. I stand by him and the combat decisions he has made. If you are the commanding officer, if you are at the top and one of your officers below you issues an order and it's not a legal order, you would probably step in. But I don't think that Hegseth thought this was an illegal order either. Or he just knows that he can kind of get away with whatever because the right's not going to come after him, and Trump's certainly going to have his back. I think he didn't know. I think he didn't know that there were Republicans in the Senate and in Congress that don't like him very much. I think if you were able to get these people on the record, or off the record, I think most of them would tell you they don't trust Hegseth and that they don't think he's qualified. But not because of anything personal, just because he's not qualified, because he's an idiot. He's not qualified to lead this many people. He's not a good leader. He's specifically only speaks to like certain people. He's alienated thousands of people that are under his direction. I don't think that he's qualified at all. Yeah, I do a lot of assuming and predictions. That's right. That's what we have to do with this administration. You do too. It's all you do is assume. Daniel said, I be do eat ice cream to be. Thank you. Tony said, great show today. Thanks. Is murder covered by presidential immunity? I don't think so. Draco's Rose said 1,000% Keg's breath. Marianne, thank you for the super chat if I didn't get that already. All right. I think I have a couple more on this. Amber said sleeveless dress trash. Wait. Sleeveless dress trash Melania's nude corn classy. I don't even know what that's in reference to. God damn. All right. It was more, it was just tasteful nudes. It's no big deal. I have no problem with Melania posing nude. That's fine. All right. Now here is Representative Carlos Jimenez on with Wolf Blitzer. He's one of the people here that's now as a Republican having questions. And you can see how they're trying to tiptoe around this and not make any accusations, which is probably safe. He should be more careful with his words probably than me, especially if you're going to look like you're doing an unbiased investigation. I don't have a problem with this, but there's clearly a lot of concern from Republicans right now with the orders that Hegseth is giving.
But if there were survivors on that boat clinging for their lives right now, they were injured, but they weren't killed. Was it legal to go ahead and kill them?
Oh, I didn't know they gave Michelle Obama shit for wearing a sleeveless dress. Okay, now that makes more sense. Sorry.
Was it legal to go ahead and kill them?
The issue is the mission itself. What is the mission? The mission is the destruction of the boat and the destruction of all the drugs. Then yeah, okay, that's the mission. And so if the mission was, well, now we just to have a second strike to kill the survivors, that is
that
is
potentially could be a war crime.
That's questionable. And so again, what is the mission, and what did the admiral think? What is he carrying? I'm confident that the admiral thought he was carrying out his mission.
But why is
which
it
is
questionable? Why is it questionable to order a strike to kill individuals who are survivors?
These are terrorists. Okay, these are absolute terrorists.
But they're wounded.
I didn't see this kind of scrutiny when the Obama
Are they terrorists?
administration was launching drone strikes against terrorist organizations in the Middle East. I mean, that happened all the time. Okay.
That's a crazy thing to say. I don't remember this type of criticism when Obama was launching. You don't? Let's I don't even have this ready. Let's just look. Obama drone strikes. There was hearing. We can go here. I'll go to YouTube. If we go to YouTube and we type Obama drone strike hearing, what are we going to see? Just looking at YouTube here. Now this is a new one. Obama administration faces drone attack debate from PBS. This is one of my favorite people. This is Majority Report. Obama's drone strike policy and CIA nominee hearings with Chris Hayes. This is from the left. Here's Obama defending it on CBS. Obama shuns hearing Yemeni says U.S. drone war terrifying civilians, empowering militants. Who's this? Democracy Now! These are all the sources I use regularly criticizing Obama for drone strikes. Here's CBS. Obama to open up drones in crucial speech. Comedy. Obama sets high score in drone strike. How many views? That's not a lot of views there. U.S. defends drone program after leaked memo. CNN. Obama, no doubt U.S. drone strikes have killed civilians. Obama talks drones war policy. New York Times. Democracy Now! Why did the United States kill a Denver-born teenager with a drone strike in Yemen? God damn, a lot of left-leaning sources. A lot of the same people we cover or that we use every day as sources, holding Obama accountable. Instead, you got on the right, what do we have?
We've got some with Obama bragging about how good he was at killing people. And, he told you that in your book, too. Yeah. Yeah. Hold on a second. Where is that?
And you just said you wanted people to suffer and be tortured. So you guys won't even talk about what's happening right in front of you. You're still talking about Obama. All the sources we tend to use. Here's Young Turks. Progressives challenging Obama's drone strike legality. I don't know what TDC is. There's PBS. Obama order looks to curb civilian deaths. Here's Young Turks again. Drones, web press, grills, Obama. AFP news agency. Who's AFP? Americans for Prosperity. Obama talks drones. Is that who that is? Michael Moore. Obama jokes about killing Jonas Brothers with Predator drones. NPR. Obama reflects on controversial decision to expand drone strikes. Democracy Now! Chuck Grassley. See how they just lie to you? Why didn't you guys talk about this before? Well, it looks like we did. Now, I was a Republican at that time, so I can't take credit for holding the left accountable. And admittedly, I wasn't talking about this because, as I can tell you, as a Republican, we didn't really fucking care. We didn't care about killing Muslim people. We didn't care about killing anybody with the military. All death was justified for us as Republicans. There's not a single room I was ever in with Republicans where we talked about, like, maybe we should think about the innocent lives being lost in the Middle East. Not once. I guess I was in elected office for the GOP for 3 years. Not one time, not one single time did we ever talk about innocent people dying in the Middle East. Not once. They don't care about that. They just don't want to talk about it. They just want to obfuscate. But if anybody asks you, maybe I'll clip this one, and I'll put this one out, because it looked like when we looked at the YouTube history, it was only the left who was critical during that time. Did you see Fox News on there? Did you see Glenn Beck? Did you see the Blaze? Limbaugh was still alive. Did you see Bill O'Reilly? Did you see Tucker Carlson? Nah, it was a bunch of lefties. Interesting, right? Jerry Mandarin says shag carpet is a verb. Facts. It's also a noun if you're in some people's cases. Jen said, what is happening in your pay chats today? I don't know what that means. Shane said, just a reminder, they want to ignore the Geneva Convention. Good reminder. Excellent reminder. Yeah, we police our own because it is principled. I think that perhaps what I like about being on the left more than anything is I do not often have to feel like a hypocrite. As much as you want to accuse us of being hypocrites, I think there are times when I think that it was a fair critic. I think that in fact, I feel hypocritical in some ways for my lack of understanding and coverage of what was going on in Gaza. But again, the criticism didn't come from the right. It came from the left. It was people that were left of me that were DMing me or in the chat like, why the fuck aren't you talking about this? Like, how can you criticize Trump if you're not going to criticize Biden for this? It wasn't you guys on the right. It was the left. In fact, every time I've been found to be hypocritical, it almost always comes from the left of me. Or somebody on the left. I don't know if it's necessarily left of me. But rarely is it you guys. You guys are always like, you give me the shittiest whataboutisms. Trump's currently falling asleep on live TV. Is that real? Jen, will you find that if there's a clip of him falling asleep? Now on to Jake Tapper. And look, here, let's be critical of Democrats now. Jake Tapper had on Chuck Schumer.
Hegseth released the full tapes of the attack.
Don't worry, guys. We're in the capable hands of Chuck fucking Schumer here. All right. There we go. Now we are officially live restricted on TikTok. Be prepared for TikTok to go down. If it does go down, you guys know where to go.
You called on Hegseth to release the full tapes of the attack. We heard earlier in the show Chairman Wicker saying that he is seeking those tapes as well. What sort of action are Democrats prepared to take to try to make this happen, to getting those tapes?
Well, we hope that we can bring before the committees, bipartisan, as you said, Senator Wicker has been very much involved here, and get the top military people to testify, and we hope that they will release the tapes. You know, Hegseth is hiding something here, and he's known to be a liar. He said that the Washington Post story had no validity, and today the White House directly contradicted him that it did. And if he has nothing to hide, if he said he did nothing wrong, if he said no laws were violated, release the tapes.
Yeah, we hope they'll release the tapes. Thanks, Chuck. Appreciate all your hard work and all of your hope. All right, I'm going to do what you guys asked.
I will tell you, reducing compliance costs for businesses, as it was for DEI, has saved American businesses nearly $1 billion this year by just getting rid of DEI for that compliance cost that they've had to do. So, Mr. President, continuing to skill the American worker, the American workforce is going to be my mission. We have to do it fast.
You can't even stay awake in the circle jerk. That's not good. This is the meeting where they go along and tell him how great he is. He can't even stay awake for the circle jerk. Oh, no. Somebody get this man his ADHD meds.
We have to do it quicker. We have to build so that the American people can realize that American dream that you have laid out so eloquently, and it's an honor to serve under this administration and to talk to the American workers who believe in the American dream again, the pride on their face, the pride of the American worker, the skilled men and women.
Somebody said California woke him up.
Electricity prices is a very parallel story, but it's a bigger moving ship, so the changes are a little bit slower. But Americans are outraged at a roughly 30% rise in the average price.
God, I can't watch the Glaze Fest anymore. It looks like he woke up. Somebody talked about gas prices for him. He woke back up. Good for him. Good to see you, Don. Got those. Thanks, Molly. Blue Wave. When do the polls close tonight in Tennessee? When do we get our first results back? Does anybody know? Brianna said, Confucius wisdom of 2025, the dildo of consequences rarely arrives lubed. That is... Thank you for that. Do we have clips of him falling asleep? Let's take a look. Oh, Sleepy Joe. Let's see.
Can't believe I'm calling a Republican Secretary of Commerce to tell the president that this is the greatest administration for auto workers in America.
Yeah, he's not falling asleep. He's doing all right there. I did see this from this weekend. That's tough. That looks like a dead person. That's not great. This one was my favorite last week. So what happens when you stay up all night tweeting. I'm not surprised that he had a rough day today. I think Krasenstein tweeted about it. He was up all night for like 3 straight hours, retweeting crazy shit. Let's see. I think it was Krasenstein that had it this morning. Let's see. Yeah, this is what it was. Trump spent 3 hours straight last night posting dozens of racist posts attacking women, spreading conspiracy theories, and sharing misinformation. Time? Can we get a time on any of these? Show timestamps. It was 2 hours, 29 minutes. I have timestamps on True Social. This was Trump last night for 3 hours. What are they saying about me? I'm going to stay up all night. What is that? An ad? Hold up. Was that an ad or did he like a gelatin? Oh, it's an ad. Okay. Oh, it's a cocktail. Oh, it is gelatin. Those are the ads you get on True Social. I wonder who their consumer is. All right. No wonder he's tired today. Boy, big sweepy guy. He's had a big night. He's got go night earlier next time. Amy said, did you see gas is down to what it was last year this time? You can't fucking believe it. Can't fucking believe the gas is down. You can go back and watch any show we've done. Like we said that in November and December, Republicans would all be like, look at the gas prices, when we all knew the gas prices would be down. This is a good time to remind Republicans, if we go by month, that gas is always cheaper in the winter. And you don't have to look like a dipshit. You can just know this, and you don't have to be like everybody else and go post this. Let me see if I can find a chart. Let me go images here. None of these are by month. These are all by year. This might be it. Department of Energy. That's all right. We can look at it, but you can see. There we go. So if you look at this is January through. Oh, it stays cool. So if we look at 2024, I mean they're almost identical. November in 2024, 353, 350 now. A little cheaper there, a little cheaper there, a little cheaper there, a little cheaper there. I mean, overall, we've seen a little bit cheaper prices. Great. But what did he do, by the way? Just drilled more oil? Is that what happened? It's because less people are traveling. Let's see. What is if we look this up, what are they saying about it? What does Mr. Global say? We look if we go through AI and we say, why are gas prices dropping right now? Hopefully this pulls up what sources are they using? They're using CNN, CBS, Marca, Finance, gas prices, Forbes, the National Desk, NerdWallet, WhiteHouse.gov, EIA, Fox Business. Okay, this is a pretty balanced group of sources here. U.S. gas prices have dropped below $3 per gallon nationally for the first time since 2021, driven mainly by lower crude oil prices, increased global supply, and reduced seasonal demand. Lower crude oil prices form the primary driver, stemming from a global supply surge outpacing demand growth. OPEC plus ramped up production earlier in 2025, reversing prior cuts ahead of schedule, while non-OPEC nations like U.S., Brazil, and Guyana boosted output to record highs, nearly 14 billion barrels a day. Refineries operated efficiently with strong output, meeting needs without bottlenecks. Okay, so yeah, look, this. If we're just going to be honest about this, like drilling more, there's one part of this that they leave out that is frustrating sometimes. People's move towards renewable energy, other countries relying more on renewable energy, drives down demand also, which can help lower prices. I think that part they maybe left out. But yeah, we're drilling more oil, and you guys are saving about, about 1 cent a gallon. So that's good. That's great. It could be worse with inflation. I think with inflation, you could probably make an argument that it's even lower. There's win number 2 for the Trump administration. They closed the border, and they did drill more oil. I still hold the opinion that long term, this is the wrong move, but there we go. Congratulations to you. See that? That's balls and strikes, Trump, folks. Can you give me that? Where's my MAGA people? Did I not just give your guy a win? Can you give me a little bit of credit for that? I gave your guy a win. Biden might have approved more. Biden did approve more drilling than Trump did, but that doesn't mean that we were drilling more. It does look. It does look like we are drilling, or I guess producing more barrels per day. Mr. Global's talked about this a lot, though. Like they're trying to crash the price of oil. That's kind of the plan, right? Kind of part. We had a surplus. The dollar was also worth less than it's ever been. I failed at my winning. Sorry, I failed at my winning. All right, back to this. Let's now talk about the obvious, that the Republican Party is just openly doing racism now. They're not even pretending anymore. And here is Lisa Demuth. Now I'm trying to remember what she did. Let me recognize her face. She is somebody who has covered the FBI. I think it was the FBI. Is that right? No. Minnesota. And she covers whistleblowers from all sides of the aisle. I think she has a pretty good reputation as far as like dealing with whistleblowers and corruption. Trump now is saying that Minnesota can't be great anymore because the Somalis are taking over. And now they're just like anything that anybody that is a Somali is associated with, they're now saying that this is a Somali problem. This is just racism. It's just blatant racism. And let's not pretend that it's not. Republicans, I was just honest with you with Donald Trump. Can you all just be honest now that you're being racist? If you're not being racist, I'm going to need for you to explain to me why you are taking the actions of certain people and then tying their identity and looping in everybody else with that identity and discrediting them as a whole or attacking them as a whole. I'm going to need you to explain that to me, because if this isn't racism, I would love to get a better explanation. Burned Out Medic said, do you still believe Canada isn't real? Yeah, it's not. Canada and Vermont are not real. Nobody can tell me otherwise. I love Canada. I haven't been a lot of places. I've been to Toronto, BC, and then Victoria, and I enjoyed every second of every minute I spent there. I have 2 really good friends from Canada that I played golf with on Sunday, and they I gotta tell you, I got this friend. He's an amazing golfer. His dad was a professional hockey player. He's a younger kid, and we were playing golf. I don't get to play a lot, and I was playing with I think 3 of the 5 people I was playing with are professionals, and we were in a money game, and I was not helping my team at all. We won, but no thanks to me. And we were just playing. On one hole, they said something. I think I went before him because I didn't want to wait. And he's like, that's all right. I'm not mad at you. I was like, oh, I didn't think you were mad. Maybe my team's mad for not helping. And he's like 22 years old. He's like, you know what, though? I don't think they're mad at you. They understand. We all have bad days, and you don't get to play a lot. But that's because you're a dad, and you're spending time with your daughter. And, maybe when your daughter grows up, you'll play a little bit more, and you'll be back to the guy that you used to be. And I was like, fuck, I was trying to be like self-deprecating. I didn't even know what to do. He was too nice to me. I was trying to be a little self-deprecating, and he's just like, nah, dude, believe in yourself. It's like a 23-year-old kid. That's how you deal with Canadians. That's how I deal with the Canadians here. They're almost too nice, and it bothers me. I'm uncomfortable with how nice they are. I'm not used to that. Anyways, back to the racist Republicans.
The president, what he says about the Somali community. He says hundreds of thousands of refugees from Somalia are completely taking over the once great state of Minnesota. Those would be your constituents who you would represent. Do you agree with the president there, or is he going too far?
This is a crazy thing to say. Somalian gangs are roving the streets looking for prey. Don't know why that's in parentheses there. As our wonderful people stay locked in their apartments and houses, hoping against hope that they will be left alone. The seriously R-slur governor of Minnesota, Tim Walz, does nothing, either through fear, incompetence, or both. Or because this isn't happening. That could be actually what's going on, that none of this is happening. It is Somali? You say Somali instead of Somalian? Why don't you say Somalian? Why is it Somali? That's the plural of Somalia is Somali? Is that what is that? AFAC? I don't know. What is that? What in the world? You're teaching me new things, Athena's Wheeze. Usually it's Athena. Now her Wheeze is educating me. I'm not even as smart as Athena's Wheeze. AFAC mean as far as I know. Oh, as far as I know. Okay, that's just me being a boomer. Fuck. That sucks that's on camera. Sorry about that. Is it Somali or Somalian? Let's see. It is Somali, not Somalian. The term Somali is used for the country, its people, and its language. Somalian is widely considered an inaccurate term, and Somalis prefer to be called Somalis. All right, I am gonna fuck this up repeatedly, and chat, keep correcting me. You're gonna have to beat this one into my head, because this is it's like cacti. Yeah. Feel free, beat this one into my head. I'd like to get it right, but I'm gonna screw it up a bunch.
I think when we have seen this amount of fraud over the last 7+ years, that is what has to stop. My focus is going to be stopping fraud. When we go back into the legislative session in February, we want to put in that.
Oh, I remember who she is. Never mind. I was wrong about her. She is right now the Speaker of the House, and she is running for governor against Tim Walz. This is not the reporter I thought it was. I'm so sorry. This is she's running for governor. She's Speaker of the House. Let me go back a little bit now and get her answer.
That is what has to stop. My focus is going to be stopping fraud. When we go back into the legislative session in February, we want to put in that Office of Inspector General. We want to get that work done for Minnesotans from day one. We go back February 17th. That's the work that we need to do.
This is what's crazy to me about this whole thing with Tim Walz. So I looked into this. If they're talking about the COVID fraudsters, if I don't know if this is the food funding, but the food funding specifically, that was through the Department of Education. And Tim Walz, it's true, he gets to select who's over that. But oversight is her. The Minnesota House has oversight. So it is a little bit ironic to see members of the state Congress there in Minnesota pin all of the blame on Tim Walz because they have oversight. She says for 7 years this has been going on, and just now they're bringing in an OIG. It is that easy to lie to Republicans because they don't get this, but all they're doing right now is blaming Tim Walz. It is crazy to say, oh, one person is to blame for all of this, but all the people with oversight, they weren't the problem. And it's also been going on for 7 years. When was Tim Walz elected? The first time. Has it been 7 years? 2020, 2028. Okay, so they might be choosing 7 years because that's when he was elected. But the House has had responsibility for this too. Amy Lynn said, did you see gas is down? Oh, I read that one already. We have lost 4% of U.S. dollar rigs since Trump came into office. I think we're supposed to say oil rigs, right? Seeking for Hope said, we, the general public, aren't talking about the e-files anymore. Trump probably ordered the leak. We'll get to that again tomorrow. Oops, I was wrong. Gas prices up about 6 cents from last year this time.
Should he be highlighting the Somali community?
We have seen an explosive expanse in autism services in different cultures and population, but fraud, no matter who is committing it, is illegal and it is wrong, and Minnesota taxpayers are tired of funding it.
Lisa DeMuth is running for the governor there. She is the top Republican there in the state house with us tonight here on the Hill. All the best. The president.
Right. Notice how she's running for governor in Minnesota and she doesn't do what Trump does. She runs away from the way that Trump is attacking the Somali population. Why do you think that is? Why do you think the Republican running for governor doesn't talk like Trump? Because the people in Minnesota don't feel that way about the Somali community. In fact, it's hard to find people inside of in Minnesota that aren't in like deep red districts that talk about the Somali community like that. I remember during the election, they talked about the Somali community, and there were multiple MAGA journalists who went into towns where there was a big Somali population, and the people there were like, hey, it's not really a problem. You guys are acting like it's a bigger problem. We just recently had a group of MAGA go in to Dearborn because they thought there was a problem with Muslims in Dearborn, and they were there for 2 days. They're like, nah, they're just like us. We just both want to be able to practice our religion in peace. They respect us. We respect them. And then the hard right MAGA came in, and they disavowed the hard right MAGA. They were like, no, these guys are just fucking racist. You'll notice that the people who go after Somalis are the ones that don't live there. It's really hard to be racist when you live around people who are different than you, but you interact with them every day, and you realize that like people are people. Most people are good. It's easy to be racist from a distance. Michigan likes Dearborn, yeah. Minnesota here, love my Somali brothers and sisters. Going to Somali restaurant Friday for camel? A joke? You've been laughing at I know you. I've been laughing at the left for a while. None of you laugh. You're all miserable bastards. Everyone. I almost said the wrong word. I almost said the word Jen says. None of you Republicans laugh at Democrats. It's just your way of like, you can't really form your own arguments. So you're just like, oh, they're just dumb, so I laugh at them. Speaking of dumb, though, thanks for the segue there. We want to talk about dumb racists. I got one of the dumbest racists in this country right here for you. And for fuck's sakes, I don't know what language this guy's speaking. I'm going to be honest here. This clip is only in here because I'm going to make fun of Tom Homan. 1, because Tom Homan's racist. 2, because Tom Homan's dumb. And 3, because somehow he's worse at words. I dare you to tell me what this dumb motherfucker is saying.
Are you worried, Tom, that they're going to target you with prosecution after this is all over?
Well, they already said they're going to, so come get some. Bottom line is, I'm not going to let them forget what they did the last 4 years.
Come get some. You're 80, dude. You're 80. And you're lucky that you're going to get a pardon after this. Remember, this is the guy that took a $50,000 bribe that they're just pretending didn't happen. Oh, it's fine. Hey, Kevin, come up and debate me. Who wants to help Kevin figure out how to debate me? Kevin says, this guy, I would love to debate this guy. Guess what, Kevin? You can come up here right now. And let's all take bets on whether or not Kevin's going to come up here or what excuse Kevin's going to use. Kevin, you message Jen on Discord, you come up. Kevin's going to go with, not right now. I don't have Discord. Why can't I just come up an easier way? Every single day there's a Kevin, and every single day the Kevin doesn't come up here. But Kevin, I hope you're different today. I look forward to talking to you. I've been desperately trying to talk to some of you guys. You don't seem to want to come up here. Lefty70 says, seasoned camel meat is delicious. All right. I didn't know. I don't know much about camels. I think I assumed because we don't have camels that they're rare and endangered. So that was probably just, I just thought like maybe we didn't eat camels. I don't know. All right. Get back to Mushmouth McRacison.
What they did the last 4 years. 500,000 children were separated from their families and smuggled across this border.
What was that? They were what?
Across this border.
One more time.
Were separated from their families and smuggled across this border.
Smuggled across the border. Now we care about the children. He's just, we're here for the children. On one hand, he's like, we care about, and then on the next hand, he's like, well, fuck those kids. If their parents came here illegally, fuck them. They don't care about kids.
250,000 Americans died from drug overdose.
That's 250,000 Americans died. Nearly a 250,000 Americans died.
250,000 Americans died from drug overdoses that came across that border. And what's President Trump done? He gave us the most secure border in history of this nation, which means sex trafficking plummeted. No unsuspected terrorists coming.
Who's going to have sex with Tom Homan now?
Across the borders plummeted. Criminal cartels are going broke. He
ran out. Criminal cartels gone broke. What are they? Are they going broke or are they doing great? I can't figure out because you guys keep talking about the cartels, but they're going broke. Do we have less drugs coming in? Let's take a look at drug seizures. 2025. How are we looking on the numbers there for drug seizures in 2025 reached historic highs? Uh-oh. Yeah, that means probably more are coming over, right? I don't think they're broke. Let's see, DEA seized over 8.6 million F pills. The drug F that starts with an F, sorry. Sorry, I don't think they seized those ones. Right, keep going with mush mouth here.
He's record deportation.
What was that there?
He's record deportation. Every promise he made to the American people, he's getting. And let's not forget.
He's getting. Wait, what's going on with Tom Homan? Is he getting worse? Or have we just not heard from him for a while?
Let's not forget. We're going to find every one of these people that weren't vetted, and we're going to make sure that they are properly vetted, and if not, they're going home. President Trump's going to make this country safe again.
Are you?
You guys aren't finding people to vet them. You're just deporting them. I just wanted to show that Tom Homan, like this whole administration is full of idiots. I do think that President Trump, though, and Kristi Noem owe some of these veterans an apology. Here's some stories coming out now of people who served this country, found love, and now because it's all numbers driven. And they're not going after people who are here illegally. Now they're going after people who are here legally and trying to follow the process, but the process is so broken that it takes too long. And now Kristi Noem's in charge, so people are losing their spouses.
And some of the people who have been...
No, I want to make fun of his policy too. Kevin, are you coming up here? I thought you were coming up here, Kevin. You gonna debate from the fucking chat, dude? Come on. You gonna come up or not, Kevin? Don't be like everybody else, dude. I was so hopeful. We were so hopeful for Kevin.
He actually said, "Can't we do it in the chat?"
No, we can't do it in the chat. No, because in the chat, when you get stumped, you run away. And I want to have a conversation.
Kevin, I'll give you a small little timeout. You can come up and talk and how you do that. If you want to talk, the Venmo username is the same as my Discord. That's how you're going to need to come up. Other than that, you're going to go on timeout.
Jen, how many days in a row has a Kevin showed up, challenged me to a debate, we tell him how to do it, and then they say, let's do it from the chat? How many days in a row is that, would you say?
It's all the time.
Every day? Is there a day that this doesn't happen?
No, I can't think of one off the top of my head, but...
Kevin, I'm a nice guy, bud. You can come up here. You can figure this out. But sorry, Jen's going to mute you for a bit while you figure out how to use Discord.
I did. So you guys don't be a Kevin. Grow up here and come up. That's how you can do that. Yeah. And then we've got about an hour and a half left to hit our gift goal. So if you guys could help us out, Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, Super Chats, that'd be fantastic. Thanks.
That's true. Lisa said, what do you call a wreath made of $100 bills? Aretha Franklin's. I like that one. Ivory, good to see Ivory, said, I'm tossing in my share so nobody can say I'm the problem again. He might still be the problem. He could still be you. Anyways, drink some water. Say something nice about yourself. And Annette said, jumping on the dollar train. Thanks, Annette. Nomad said, your impression of Tom Homan was funny. Love your show. Thank you, Nomad Gal. Appreciate that very much. All right, let's play this video of these people who served our country, found love, and now they're losing the loves of their life because I don't know why, honestly. I don't know why their spouses are being deported. Yet when you hear where their spouses are from and what they've been doing, I dare somebody to give me a good explanation of why we need to deport them. Not the typical, laws are laws. Nah, laws don't have to, like, this isn't the law. They're following the process. You can allow them to follow the process all the way through. You don't have to deport people's spouses.
And some of the people who have been taken into custody are military spouses. NBC7 Shelby Bremer has their stories.
Families of people who have been arrested at their interviews and are now being held here at the Otay Mesa Detention Center have all told us they felt blindsided. But there are some who say it particularly stings after all they've given for this country. Samuel Shasteen lost his wife to cancer in 2022. Months later, when he walked into a coffee shop in downtown San Diego, he just so happened to meet Chana Defon, who put his broken heart back together again.
It kind of felt like there wasn't a hole there no more. She just filled a spot, the void that was there.
His kids had to warm up to her, but 2 years later, they were married. Originally from Thailand, she
Listen, nobody make jokes about 90 Day Fiance, okay? Nobody do that. I'll Venmo $20 to anyone on the right who goes up and debates RTP. There you go. Thanks, Sully. Good offer.
overstayed her visa, but they've been trying to get her green card since the wedding. November 18th was her final interview. He says they were just about done when ICE agents came in, handcuffed her, and took her away.
I kind of feel betrayed, to be honest.
Betrayed because he spent 20 years in the Marines, deployed twice to Afghanistan.
Do everything that we can to protect and serve our country, and then they betray us by treating us like we've never done anything.
He's not the only one.
He put a lot of work into representing this country, and we did everything the right way.
William Menard's client is Australian, married to a Navy veteran, and arrested the same way, the same day.
We got to get Australians out of here, too. What was the first one? Did they say Vietnam? It's Vietnam and Australia. Super important that these people who are married, who are just trying to get through a very crowded system, it's really important we get rid of them. Yeah, they're overstaying visas because they can't, like, the courts are so backed up. Thailand, thank you. Thailand. Got to get rid of them. Can't let them stay. You know why? It's because all of these people at ICE, they have a quota and they have to hit certain numbers. And so they don't really care. There's no nuance to any of this. It's not, there's no rhyme or reason to any of it. It's just get rid of people.
I could hear him kind of muttering like, I serve the country and like kind of this is what I get,
For him, some good news.
Support the liberals. Who's going to pay your bills if you deport the liberals, by the way? All you Republicans. I'm so, like, it's so crazy that you guys live in an alternate reality. This country would be absolutely fucked without progressivism. Everything you like about this country, progressives gave you. Congratulations. You like the Second Amendment? Progressives. You like the First Amendment? Progressives. You like the freedom of religion? Progressives. If you're a woman, you like the right to vote? Progressives. You like public school? Progressives. You like any school? You have the choice now even to choose. Progressives. Name one thing conservatives have ever done for this fucking country. And don't say Republicans, because Republicans haven't always been conservatives. If you want to point back to Republicans pre-Civil War, those were progressives, not conservatives. Tell me one fucking thing conservatives have ever given to this country. I'll wait. You uphold racism? Well, we've kept racism alive. We're still bigoted. If it wasn't for us, we wouldn't have bigots and racists here. Don't you like that? All you guys give us is the same fucking policies we've heard for 50 years that don't work, and you're too dumb to adjust. Literally, the only difference between this administration and every other conservative administration of my lifetime is the cruelty. But you guys all do the same stuff. As soon as a Republican gets in office as president, all you do is bitch and moan about immigrants and blame all of our problems on immigrants and try and take us to war. And like, you actually take us to war. It's not like you'd say, well, Joe Biden and wars. We didn't go to Ukraine. We didn't go to Israel. We weren't in any of these wars. In fact, we ended the war in Afghanistan. Trump's out actively trying to murder people all the time. We're down in Venezuela. We bombed Iran. We're doing drone strikes in Syria. Like, Trump is just escalating war. And you guys do this every time. Every time you get into office, you up the racism, you up the bigotry, and you take us to war, and you drive us into debt. We're coming off October. Did you know that October is the most debt we've accrued in a month in the history of the United States? It is the worst fiscal month we've ever had in terms of spending versus receipts. And that's with tariffs. The worst month in the history of the United States. You are not fiscally responsible. You are just racist, whiny bitches. You haven't done anything for this country. You never do anything for this country. You sit around and whine about the good old days. That's all conservatism is. I miss when I felt more comfortable when all of my neighbors were white. I don't like that gay people are on television anymore. You were the ones that you canceled Ellen for being gay. Like, she came out and she was gay. You're like, we got to get rid of Ellen. And who brought her back? It was progressives. Roseanne, you know that psycho that you guys all love now? Now that she's like conspiratorial and hates the Jews and COVID? Yeah, she got canceled for being too progressive. By who? Conservatives. You guys, this is all you've ever fucking done is cancel, 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 or try to cancel and complain about yourselves being canceled when we say you can't cancel people for their identity. That's not fair. That's not fair. We have the right to cancel people. There's never been a bigger group of whiny bitches than conservatives. And MAGA takes the cake, man. You have all the power in the world, and you're still doing nothing but look at Tim Walz. Look at Gavin Newsom. Anything but address the fact that you're destroying the economy. By the way, I just saw yesterday BlackRock or Vanguard, I can't remember which one of them, just had to take a $1.3 trillion bath on collateralized loan obligations, which I've been telling you since February. It's an artificial economy, and they just paid Trump money to keep it going, but it's starting to crumble. Yeah, things are going really well. And when it goes down, you're just going to feel like when the economy crashes, you're like, it's the liberals did it.
An immigration judge has now ordered her released on bond. Menard says they're still pursuing her green card.
You got to wonder what 8 days of detention, what purpose that served. I don't know.
Shasteen's wife has a bond hearing next month. As they wait, he says his son has avoided.
Oh, sorry. Good to see you, Corn Pop. Nobody canceled Chick-fil-A. They stopped going there. There's a big difference between begging for things to be canceled. Nobody said Chick-fil-A should be out of business, that they should take away their business license. They said, we're not going to go there anymore. That's the difference between like what we do and what you do. You guys literally try and get people taken off the air. Trump's administration is actively trying to pull licenses from CBS and ABC because Jimmy Kimmel and Stephen Colbert make jokes about him, and he doesn't like those jokes. They hurt his viewers. And he's at home watching TV because he's not a real president. He's a whiny bitch. Canceling is what you guys like. You guys get rid of books. You rewrite history. You take parts out of history. You're taking down photos of prominent Americans that were on the other side of the aisle. That's what you do. If you want to talk about the only thing I know of that liberals have canceled is like traitors. Yeah, we tried to cancel statues of traitors. People who went to war against the United States of America. The people that like you guys don't want to talk about anymore because they're your great-great-grandparents or your great-grandparents. And a lot of you still hold the same views that they held, and you wish you could go back to the good old days. So you don't want to talk about the fact that all these statues that people wanted to bring down were actually people who seceded, who left the United States and fought against them. And now today, in the same breath, you'll be like, these people come to America and they immigrate here and then they criticize America. They should have to go back to where they came from. You shouldn't be allowed to be here and complain about America. And then you're like, also don't take down the statue of my great-great-grandpappy who gave his life to defend slavery. Like, you want to talk about canceled? That's like the only thing that's been canceled. We didn't even cancel for the Groypers here. We didn't even cancel Fuentes. That was you guys. That was Ben Shapiro. That was Tucker Carlson. That was Fox News. That you guys canceled Nick Fuentes. We didn't even do that. We're used to Nazis. We just don't pay attention to them. There's never been a group of whinier bitches in this country than where we're at right now with MAGA Americans. Everything is against us, and we don't like people who think different. They need to go.
The House since she was detained.
And he told me what it was reminding him of, which was his mom passing.
I mean, even this, sorry, to get back to the video, I'm a little off topic here, but even this, you're just getting rid of spouses. Why? They came from a different country. We don't like that. If you come from a different country, you gotta go.
And he didn't want to be home because he don't want to be in an empty house without her.
Slavery is a small part of the war. Some chat, take care of that. Jesus Christ.
We've reached out to ICE about every single one of these cases we've covered, and ICE says that each arrest is for overstaying a visa. But Shasteen's attorney told me that in any other time in American history, her green card would have been approved. ICE says that overstaying a visa is itself a violation of federal law. From Otay Mesa, Shelby Bremer, NBC7.
I know. To answer your question, Charlie Kirk wasn't canceled. He was murdered, and it's sure seems like a lot of people on your side of the aisle aren't blaming the left for that either. I mean, the biggest voices on the left or on the right aren't blaming us for Charlie Kirk anymore. You guys have abandoned that. Now it's Israel or Egypt or whoever, or the CIA or the Trump administration. Your own side isn't blaming us for Charlie Kirk. That's how little we had to do with that. Like, your side's not blaming. You guys aren't even blaming us for the Butler assassination attempt anymore. You can't blame us for any of the attacks on you. You can't blame us for Charlie Kirk. You can't blame us for the Butler assassination attempt. You can't blame us for the National Guard people that were shot. You can't blame us for any of this. I think the one thing you can blame us for is perhaps Luigi Mangione, but then you have to admit that you're on the side of a big health insurance. That you're like, if you attack somebody that runs a health insurance company, that's an attack on the right. So that's a tricky one too, because that's only an attack on you if you guys love the health insurance industry. That's us. We're the health insurance industry. Every other thing that has happened to you guys, you're all blaming on somebody else, your own people or the CIA or Israel. So I don't know, or France. I think Candace Owens has brought in France now. You can't even, you tried for like a week to blame the left, and it was hard because like the kid was from St. George, Utah. His parents were like gun-loving MAGA freaks. And then and his friends were all like, yeah, he wasn't really like political. He was like kind of MAGA, and then he was right down the middle. He just didn't like Charlie Kirk. He just thought Charlie Kirk was kind of a bigot, which is true. Charlie Kirk was a bigot. He was a racist. He was a bigot. He was an asshole. He hid behind Christianity. He's the exact problem with modern right-wing Christianity, where you're like, I love Jesus, but also maybe we should get rid of different groups of people, just like Jesus wanted. Yeah, like, give me a break. You guys are a mess. You might lose tonight in Tennessee, by the way. Isn't that going to be great? If you lose in Tennessee, oof. 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 Yeah, I mean, he did have a gay. I don't know. Did we confirm if the partner was trans? If the partner was trans, that would be a trans girlfriend. But again, like trans people, you know, Caitlyn Jenner's trans, right? Republican. You know, like there's trans people who are Republicans, right? Or are you saying that like you can't be trans and be Republican? Or are you saying that you can't be gay and be Republican? See how all this stuff falls apart when we break it down? Can you be gay and be Republican? Dave Rubin? Can Dave Rubin be a Republican? He's gay. No? Yeah. What was that dude that just went to prison? George Santos? He's gay. It's tough for you to make these arguments, right? Because you got to take the mask off. We actually don't accept anybody. What happened to Kevin? Did Kevin find his way up, Jen? I don't see him here yet. Oh, that Jerry just said that. Where'd Kevin go? Eric said, how many lying cowards won't debate RTP? All of them.
Nope.
No, Kevin? Okay. Yoga Story now said, I went from conservative leaning to Republican to libertarian to moderate to progressive over the course of about 15 years. Education goes a long way. Thank you for all the work you do in this space. Similar. I went Republican, libertarian. I skipped, well, I guess I probably didn't skip moderate, but I was there for just a minute to progressive. And I have the same story as you, Yoga Story. The more you learn, the more you step out of the echo chamber and learn, the more likely you are to be a progressive. I don't know anybody who's expanded their reading and became more conservative. Oh, what are we doing? Did I get him upset about Charlie? Yeah, Kevin, you're still here. You're still cowardly sitting in the comments. Come on up, bud. I'm not going to debate you from the comments. I literally will ignore you. And it's not out of fear, because you know how we do this. I just can't have some dipshit like you derail the show every day and make me argue with the comments. There is nothing serious about Kristi Noem, from her face to the words that she says, to her cosplaying a leader, to her constant need for attention. She went on Meet the Press, and she's just going to be real dishonest about this National Guard shooter.
Collecting. Now, when we vet individuals under this administration, we know who they are, why they are here, and going through that. Unfortunately, this individual, that entire process happened under Joe Biden's watch.
Well, but just to be very clear, I want to go back to what happened.
Not true, right?
On the Trump administration's watch, he was extensively vetted in order to serve alongside U.S. service members as a part of the CIA trained strike force.
I think I'd beat Charlie in a debate. I don't think he'd say much. And I would have smoked Charlie Kirk in a debate, just like anybody with any knowledge did. Charlie Kirk was not a good debater if he didn't have full control of the microphone. I've never seen Charlie Kirk in like a scheduled debate do well.
But in terms of what happened on the Trump administration's watch, just to be very clear, what vetting did the Trump administration do before giving this suspect asylum?
Can we just talk about this suspect, by the way? This suspect was vetted by the CIA multiple times. He was a CIA asset. They knew who he was. They protected him. He fought for this country. He fought against the Taliban. The CIA repeatedly vetted him. So the CIA is responsible for this one. He would not have got, like the other people that came from Afghanistan that went through the normal vetting process, and admittedly, like, you can go back and you can watch Josh Hawley question Mayorkas about this. In fact, I'm tired of referencing that. I'm just going to show it to you. And this will probably take a while, but we can watch Josh Hawley, I think kind of, not unfairly, but go after Mayorkas. And you can see Mayorkas admits that when they brought in these folks from Afghanistan, the vetting process, there were things that were missed. But this guy, he was vetted more than perhaps anybody else, and then he was vetted again by the Trump administration. I'm going to let this play while I see if I can find this clip.
The vetting process, Kristen, happens when the person comes into the country, and Joe Biden completely did not vet any of these individuals, did not vet this individual.
It's not true, and we'll show that in a second.
Waited until he got into the United States, and then that application for asylum was opened under the Joe Biden administration when he was the president in the White House and allowed that to go forward with the information that they provided. That's the Biden administration's responsibility. This is the consequences of the dangerous situation he put our country in when he allowed those people to infiltrate our country during that abandonment of Afghanistan. And that's why I'm so grateful we have a president now that isn't going to allow it to happen, that he now has put in place.
But he was vetted by this administration. So he was vetted multiple times by the CIA, then under the Biden administration, and then by this administration. The reality is this is a person who seemed, from all accounts, to have PTSD. And it feels guilty about the fact that he was used as a tool to end other people's lives, and he felt lied to, and he felt abandoned, because that's what we do as America. We go into other countries, we tell them that we're there for them, we take what we want, we do what we want, and then we abandon them. And it's all around the world. The whole world feels this way. we have done nothing but destabilize the Middle East and Africa and Central America and South America. And then this administration comes in and they're like, we're not helping them anymore. We fucked them all up. We fuck up all their countries. And then this administration, full of these selfish conservatives, who, by the way, you guys aren't paying the bills anyways. It's liberals that are paying the bills. Go look at where the money comes from in this country. It's coming from liberal cities and liberal states. And you're like, oh, we don't want to pay taxes anymore, so fuck all these people. We destroy and decimate continents. And then we're like, we're not going to help you anymore. They rely on us too much. They didn't rely on us before we went in there. They didn't want anything to do with us, but we went in and we destabilized their country. We install leadership. And then when that leadership doesn't do exactly what we say, we decapitate that leadership and we put in another leadership, which causes even more instability, which causes even more radicalization, which causes even more extremist groups. I dare you to find me an extremist group. Name one extremist group that the CIA basically didn't create. Al-Qaeda, ISIS, all of them. Like the CIA had their hand in all of those extremist groups. And we go in because we don't like the leadership in that country. So we go in and we find radicals and we train them and we give them funding and we build them up, and then they take over the government and then they're like, yay, we're free. And then the US is like, not so fast. You're not free. We own you now. And eventually, if they give any pushback to the United States just decapitates that leadership and we bring in a new one. It's regime change, regime change, regime change. And then we have the audacity of this moron from the Dakotas like, actually, the problem is they don't assimilate to our culture. No, I think maybe the problem is that we can't stay out of other people's business. We can't seem to function as a country without invading other countries. That's the problem. There's no accountability from conservatives. It's white, good white conservatives. We are Christ-chosen people, and nothing we do is wrong. And I can't believe people hate us. Oh, you can't believe it. I can't believe that other countries don't like that we destabilize them, decapitate their government, destroy their democracies, and run them. And then all of a sudden, Trump comes in, he's like, I need to give tax breaks to my billionaire friends. So that funding we've been giving you, you don't get that anymore. Sorry, you're on your own. And then people like, I can't believe people don't like America. I can't believe liberals are not proud of America. What the fuck are we supposed to be proud of? Give me one thing in my life. I was born in 1985. What during my lifetime should I be so proud of that America has done? I'm sure there's some things, but what would it be? Conservatives, give me some things I should be proud of during my lifetime. Gay marriage, that's not an American thing. We were late on gay marriage. And actually, I fought against gay marriage, so no, I'm not proud of that. Anything? Alcoholic insanity. No, this is just regular insanity, but I don't drink. No child left behind. Yeah. Sick Willie got a Hummer. Yeah, I guess that's good. Brock Purdy. Hey, Brock Purdy can Dougie. All right, there we go. I'm proud of Brock Purdy. That's more of an Arizona pride. YouTube so you can make $9 every 2 hours. And yet here you are watching me corn pop every day. Glad to have you here every day. Yeah, that was tough. There we go. And nothing, I think they were proud there. Even the things that we're talking about, like there's Americans with Disabilities Act. I don't know what year that was passed. Gay marriage. Like, it's more embarrassing how long it took us. And by the way, when I was a Republican, I was against both of those things. I think what you guys are trying to do is like say things that liberals will like, but like I was a Republican during those times. I fought against those things, and I know that you guys did too, and you're still against them now. I know because you're gutting those protections. 1990 was in the ADA pass. Thank you very much. Still not explaining why he made a mockery out of Christianity. Christianity's silly. That's I don't know. Oh, maybe you're not talking to me. I think religion is silly. All right, back to Kristi Noem.
Measures under his watch at the Department of Homeland Security that we are bringing in new information on vetting, new information to use, such as what do they do on Facebook? What do they do on TikTok and other social media platforms? And who are they talking to? Who are their conversations with? And we use their biometric data information now to track to make sure they are who they say they are and they're here for their right intentions.
And we are going to...
You think they're going to use that on you at some point? American citizens? She's just openly saying, we scan your face and we can read all your social media. We can read all your messages. We can read all your comments. We can see all your posts. Our government has that capability and they're using it. You think for 1 second they're not going to use that on you? Yeah, I think all religion is silly. Pick a religion. I think it's silly. But I also respect your right to have that religion. And I have your right, I respect your right to not believe that it's silly. But I hold the position that all religion is silly. And I don't know of a religion in America that I've come across that isn't used to control people. I'm a pretty anti-religion personally in my life, but you have every right to disagree with me and also practice your religion.
Talk about some of the steps the president's taking, but I just want to be very clear about this because his asylum was approved in April of this year on the Trump administration's watch. So just to be very clear, was there a vetting process in place to approve that asylum request?
Yeah, the vetting process all happened under Joe Biden's administration.
But was he vetted when he was granted asylum? Are you saying he wasn't vetted when he was granted asylum?
Vetting is a...
Why won't she answer questions? It's crazy.
Vetting is happening when they come into the country, and that was completely abandoned under Joe Biden's administration. That's the...
All right. So that's a lie. She won't answer the question. She won't address that it was really her mistake and this administration's mistake. They vetted him. They cleared him. But they're going to blame Joe Biden. Here's the clip I was talking about with Josh Hawley.
You've testified several times already this morning that you have, I'm going to quote you now, rigorous screening and vetting.
I believe this was 2021. Yeah. Or after 2021. So I don't know the date on this, but this was after the Afghanistan withdrawal.
In place, rigorous is your word for Afghan evacuees, refugees who have tens of thousands of them who have been brought to this country.
Oh, sorry. Using our guardsmen as toy soldiers is what got them shot. This is the administration's fault. I mean, look, it's the shooter's fault first. Let's be clear. But they shouldn't have been there. Love Dragon Wizard said, love thy neighbor only if they look like you. That's the MAGA way. Jerry wants to know where Kevin went. I don't know if Kevin's still here. Jen just sent me up. Apparently, he's still going strong. I got some screenshots of his. Sorry, Kevin, I'm not seeing your messages. Looks like you're still going wild, though. Good to have you here.
After the disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan that this administration conducted, historically disastrous, I might add, in which 13 American service members were killed, including one from my home state, hundreds, maybe thousands of Americans left behind to the enemy, where they still remain. It's your testimony that rigorous screening and vetting has occurred. So I assume that you mean by that at least the standard refugee screening process is, if it's rigorous, it's at least the standard refugee screening process. Is that?
I want to show this for two reasons. One, to show that Mayorkas and the Biden administration under oath said, yeah, like we didn't follow all the procedures that you normally would because there were circumstances. But two, I wanted to show this so that Josh Hawley can acknowledge what he's not acknowledging now, that like vetting was done. All of these people were vetted. They just didn't all get an in-person interview. So that's why I'm showing it. Because right now, Republicans are spinning what Kristi Noem saying there was absolutely no vetting. Josh Hawley not only questions him, but Josh Hawley at this point, whatever, 2022, 2023, was aware that vetting was done. It didn't include in-person interviews for everybody.
Correct? Am I right about that?
Senator, I do think it deviates from the refugee screening, but we have taken steps to make sure that the program is indeed rigorous, and I use that term advisedly.
Yeah, I noted that you used it advisedly. It deviates, though, from the standard screening procedures. You're conducting in-person interviews of all of the refugees per the standard.
Okay, so they're in an agreement. They're in agreement that there was vetting done. Josh Hawley's conceded that, and he's going to push it. Fair enough. I don't know, like, I don't know enough about this process to know how much the in-person interview would change things. It's hard, like, just common sense to me, which I could definitely have a blind spot here, says that, like, I know he mentions, like, the 9/11 attackers, and that only one of them received an in-person interview, and that person wasn't let in. I think that's a pretty good talking point for him. I think that's a fair point. I would imagine that perhaps in-person interviews with all of these people probably would have caught some people who shouldn't be here. But again, it wasn't no vetting. So when Republicans come out and say nobody was vetted, that's a lie.
Procedures. You testified that 100% of these people have been screened and vetted. So you're conducting in-person interviews per the standard procedures of all of these refugees?
Senator, our U.S. Customs and Border Protection personnel have physical contact and question each individual at the port of entry. If there is any question with respect to that individual, any derogatory information or any question that bears on the individual's safety, the safety of the American people, that individual can be placed in secondary.
Well, wait a minute. That's not my question. My question.
Okay, before he gets to his question, fair enough. He's saying every single one of them went through a screening process. Every single one. And what Kristi Noem said was none of them went through a screening process. The exact opposite of what Kristi Noem just told you, Republicans, is true. And this is one of your best people in the Senate. This is Josh Hawley. He's a very effective, I think he was a lawyer, but he's really effective at questioning. He's getting answers out of this. He disagrees with Mayorkas. He thinks Mayorkas sucked at his job. All of that is fair criticism. But he and Mayorkas, at that point, were on the same page. Okay, everybody was vetted, but how vetted were they?
Is, are you conducting the standard security procedure? Is the standard screening procedure for refugees is they are given an in-person interview to find out, for example, if they're a terrorist. So you said 100% of these evacuees are screened. Have they all been given in-person interviews per the normal process?
They have not all been given
Why not?
interviews because we have to be mindful of the fact that we were in an emergency situation to evacuate U.S. citizens, lawful permanent residents, special immigrant visa holders, and others who.
And what percentage do those, the special immigrant visa holders and American citizens, what percentage of the total tens of thousands did those constitute?
I have that that information for you. If you'll give me 1 minute.
The answer is it's an extremely small percentage. I mean, it's maybe a few thousand out of 60,000 who have come to this country. So my question is, why?
I'd also like to point out that Kristi Noem said it's 100,000 people that were unvetted. Amber reminds us that most of the statues were put in museums. That's from earlier. I missed that, Amber, but that's a good reminder that the statues that were taken down weren't like destroyed. They were put in museums.
Why are you not conducting in-person interviews of the people who have been brought here to this country? Don't you think that's dangerous?
Yeah, I do pull for BYU, a religious school. I appreciate you bringing that up. And I think Mormonism is silly. And I actually don't like that I'm a BYU fan. It's just who I was growing up. I know the coach, like personally. I've met him since I've known him since I was 8 years old. I was around that guy. So I think the Mormon church is silly. I think it's a cult. I think it's a shitty church. I think it protects predators. I dislike most everything about that church, and I still support their football team. That's true.
I do not, Senator. I think that if, in fact, there is information adduced that gives any cause for concern, number one, the individual is not brought to the United States.
Well, wait a minute. When you say that, I just want to be clear about this. When you say any information, you mean if they are already in our database as a terrorist or a criminal or a terrorist affiliate, right?
Senator, we capture the biometric and biographic information of the individuals in the transit countries.
Right, and if I understand that, and if they're in our databases already as a terrorist or a terrorist affiliate or a known criminal, then maybe you're saying there's a fault, then maybe they get an interview. But what about...
So everybody, just so we're clear here, everybody was checked, and then they ran their names against like anybody that was known to be a terrorist or a terrorist adjacent. Do you see the nuance here? Like, I don't know enough about this whole process to say, like, I think Hawley's right or Mayorkas is right. It's clear that at least the normal procedures weren't entirely followed. But I only want, and we can stop here. You can go watch the rest of this. But notice how different it is when it's Hawley and it's the Biden administration and it's Mayorkas, and we can have nuance. But once Trump's in office, where Trump and Kristi Noem just get up and lie about fucking everything, suddenly nobody was vetted. Suddenly there was no process that was followed. And this is why, like, I really have a problem with conservatives in general, specifically Josh Hawley. Like, where did all of your courage go? Are you all that afraid of Donald Trump, or are you just that afraid of losing your MAGA friends, and you know that criticizing or like going against something that Donald Trump says, even if something is obviously untrue, is saying that none of these people were vetted? None of you have the courage to even say that. Poke holes in this argument, please, for me. Please explain to me why I'm supposed to look at Kristi Noem and take her seriously. Why am I supposed to look at your party and think you're anything more than a bunch of lying, whiny, racist bitches? Because that's what it looks like. It looks like you're all going on TV. Everybody that represents you just goes on TV every day and they lie. And then they complain and they make themselves the victims. Bring back this version. It's crazy to say I liked you guys better when Biden was president. At least you attempted to be coherent. There's not even an attempt now. Now we're just living in a different reality. You're just rewriting history every day. And no pushback. No pushback against Trump. No pushback against Kristi Noem. Just pretending, oh, nothing to see here. We'll just move on and pretend that they're telling the truth. Any there? What time is it? 12:11. We got about an hour and a half left to go today. Great job. Thank you guys so much for helping us out with our goals. Got to use the words correctly. We got it most of the way done. I'm sure we'll finish that out by the end of the day. And thank you guys so much on TikTok. It's not showing the updates for the goals through Streamlabs, but I know that a lot of you have gifted, and I can't shout out the top 5 because I can't see it. But thank you guys for your support there. And just a reminder, we have paid subscriptions wherever you're watching, and that's another way that you can support us and also join us for members-only events, which are, I think, fun. I like specifically the musical sing-alongs. Last night was a little heavier. All right, let's move on here. I want to, I guess I'll show this. I'm going to give a trigger warning here because I want to show this video from 60 Minutes that was done a few years ago. This was about a year ago, about PTSD. Because the one part of this story that nobody's telling, which sucks, because we're too busy being xenophobic, is that this person has a documented history of PTSD. It's obvious that the person who shot those National Guards troops dealt with a lot, saw a lot, and didn't get the help that they needed, and felt like they came to America and then they were abandoned. And I think a lot of times as Americans, we think that way. We think that, oh, if you're here, you're just going to be okay. And nobody, like, you're in America, so you don't have real problems. PTSD, no big deal. Depression, anxiety, all that stuff, no big deal. And it's clear that this person, while he was here, and there's now a lot of talk saying that he was radicalized once he got here. Once he got to the United States and saw that it wasn't what they said that it was, that's when he became radicalized. And instead of having access to mental health care and counseling, he sat inside and he stewed and he was left to deal with his PTSD on his own. So I wanted to show this video. It's about 13 minutes long. 60 Minutes did this episode on children of veterans with PTSD. And it's something that, one, we don't talk about enough. And two, it's something we don't do anything about. That's not a justification for murder, Matthew. It's not a justification for murder. What he did was wrong. But if you look at too often, the way that you view any of this stuff is as the enemy. They're evil. Fuck them. There's nothing to learn. What I'm looking at this is like, what can we learn from this? How can we avoid this happening again? And you guys say, oh, we got to get rid of Muslims. That'll be the solution. Well, it won't. It was like Timothy McVeigh, homegrown terrorist. We have a lot of the terrorism that's happened in the name of like radical Islam in this country has been done by white former Christian Americans. A lot of times people who served and had PTSD, and it was either undiagnosed or untreated, and it leads people to be violent. It's the same with CTE. With NFL players. Like you can look at somebody like Aaron Hernandez and you can go like, wow, that guy's evil. True, evil. Nothing he did was justifiable. Did he also have CTE? Yeah, clearly had CTE. Did that lead him to do irrational things? Yeah. Somebody gets PTSD or CTE and they also are prone to like a bipolar disorder, it can make it even worse. And we just have to be aware of that and address that. Just because you say we want to learn from this and make things better doesn't mean you're justifying it. And that's like the weird conservative mindset that I can't figure out with you guys. You just want everything to be black and white, evil or good. And that way you don't have to really think about anything or discuss how to make things better. You just know, like, I didn't do that, he did, he's evil, and I'm a Christian, he's a Muslim, so get rid of all the Muslims. If we played that game with Christians, though, if I started saying every day, like, hey, look, another Christian priest abusing children, get rid of all Christians. My Lord, you guys would lose your fucking minds if you were treated the way that you treat everybody else. So you guys can check the fuck out for this one if you want, but we're going to talk about the real effects of what it means to send American citizens overseas to do unspeakable things in the name of what? I've been alive for Desert Storm, Iraq, Afghanistan, and everything since then. None of those wars were justified. There was no reason for us to send troops over there for any of those wars. And so what does that mean? That means we have a bunch of people who have to grapple with the fact that they did unspeakable things to people who it may not be justified. I watch a lot of, I've brought these guys up before, but the Anti-Hero podcast, they talk about this stuff. But you see a lot of former special forces now saying, I don't know why the fuck I was over there. I don't know. I don't remember who it was, but I was watching, I think he was a Navy SEAL. It might have been the guy who claims he shot bin Laden that didn't, but it could have been somebody else. I can't remember. He's telling this story. Yeah, it is. Rob O'Neill. And he's like, I remember this story. I went into a house in the middle of the night and I shot one guy. And then then his brother was like in the next room and his brother came at me with a weapon. So I shot his brother. And I have no idea why I shot. The only reason I shot them is they were there and I was told to go into that house. And he said, years later, I can look back at this and I can go, why? One, I don't know why I shot the brother, but like, why did that guy get a gun? Because that's exactly what I would do if somebody came into my house in the middle of the night and shot my brother. And I have no idea why I killed those people. Said I might have been friends with that guy. Clearly, he was somebody that was like me, who saw his brother killed and wanted to protect his brother or get vengeance for his brother. That's what I would have done. And I don't know why I killed him. That's a lot to deal with. That is a lot to stomach and process. And we do virtually nothing for these veterans. When Biden was president and we were talking about the amount of immigration coming over the border, it was Republicans every day. Why don't we help the veterans? Good idea. Are you helping the veterans? No, your administration's not doing anything for veterans. They're out there getting military people to commit more fucking war crimes that they'll have to deal with. In the name of what? Capitalism? Why are we going to Venezuela right now? Oil? It's heartless what we do to these soldiers. It's devastating what we do to these soldiers. And then we just leave them on their own when they come back. Go out there and do unspeakable things and then come back and act normal. Are you going to get help? Not really. Most of these veterans, when you talk to them and watch interviews, most of them find that the help that they get is other veterans who create nonprofits and go out and fundraise. And those are the people that are really doing the most work. It's the other veterans helping each other because our government doesn't do dick for these people. We just send them back out there to murder in the name of capitalism. Schmurder, unalive, sorry. TikTok for the language. TikTok shop's awesome. Guys, make sure you do all your Christmas shopping this year on the TikTok shop. The best deals in the best places. TikTok shop. It's the way to go. And on top of those guys dealing with all of this, a lot of them have children and spouses. And so I'm giving you a heavy trigger warning for this video. But we don't think about the impact very often. And I think we probably should.
The story will continue in a moment.
Had a PTSD after he served 3 tours in Operation Iraqi Freedom and briefly in Operation Desert Storm. Thank you for talking about this. That sucks, Haley. Sorry. Saturday, also thank you for the super chat. And that chick Beth. Martin McFly said, grease the TikTok shop pockets. You don't have to. I was just trying to protect you. What happened? YouTube? What did YouTube do? Jen, what did YouTube do? Did YouTube shut this down? Look. What's it look like on YouTube?
What I'm guessing is the stream unavailable. It's because you're playing the 60 Minutes interview. We're gonna have to cut this entire thing out.
Okay.
So
did it end the stream? Is that what
it's unavailable or it's suspended for policy violations.
Okay. Shit, I didn't even think about that. I don't want to keep playing it, but I can't really end one stream. Look, I'm gonna drop it in the Discord. We can and you can finish this there. We'll do that. I didn't even think about that, and that could jeopardize the stream forever. So we'll see. So I'll drop that in the Discord. We can finish it off in the Discord. There's about 3 minutes left. Jamar said, war sucks and we shouldn't ever need to do it. And no one should be going through this shit. The thing is that like, this is a hard thing, I think, sometimes to say and a hard thing to acknowledge. But all of this stuff also exists in all the places that we've gone and to all the people that we went to war against. That's a hard thing. I think that's a hard thing for like, what's up, Jen?
It's back.
Okay, cool. I stopped the video. It's back. That's a hard thing, I think, for sometimes Americans to grapple with. Is that all this stuff exists in this country, but it also exists in every country that we went to. And it also radicalizes more people. And again, like, I'd challenge anybody, like, explain to me why we're there. How many more times are we just going to allow our government to make these same mistakes? And then we're so shocked when other countries don't like us. We're so shocked when there's groups of people that are radicalized against us. I appreciate all those who have served, and I don't hold them personally responsible for the acts that they've taken. I have a friend that I wasn't super close with until I graduated high school, and then between the time I graduated high school and the time I went on a Mormon mission was about 1.5 years, and I became really close with this person. They were a year older than I was, and while I was on a mission, they joined the Army, and they were a Ranger. And I have not seen this person since. And I finally got a hold of a member of their family and asked where he was, what he was up to, because no social media. The only way he's capable of living his life is in total solidarity. He lives in the mountains by himself. He doesn't talk to people. He doesn't talk about his service to his family. His family comes and sees him every once in a while, and that's it. Did they get rid of the funding for the hotline? I don't remember if they got rid of the funding for the hotline. But the thing is, it's like we spend all this money. We spend all, like, what was the $1 trillion on the military budget? For what reason? Show me one thing our military does overseas that is good. Show me one thing. I don't think it was a good thing that we bombed Iran. What are we doing that is good? Exactly. We fight for oil. We say we fight for democracy. Well, who the fuck cares? Like, sometimes we say we're fighting against communism. What the fuck? Why are we fighting against ideologies? And now this administration is saying, like, we're fighting against radical Islam. Yeah, I like, we created it. And we continue to create it. And now what we're doing in Venezuela is we're going to create radical groups in Venezuela too. Every time we do shit like this, we just indiscriminately kill people. We create more radical groups. All in the name of the dollar. And then Republicans hide it behind Christianity. Oh, this is really about Christianity. They hate us because of our freedoms and because of our religion. I don't think so. I've never got the impression that the reason for the hatred was our religion. Trump made deal with the terrorists and got 5K release. That's a good point. We're pardoning drug traffickers, war criminals visiting the White House. I mean, Donald Trump and this administration are some of the most heartless human beings I've ever seen in my life. There is, in fact, one of them. Who's the one that wrote, like, she's covering the Pentagon now. It's like empathy, the book about empathy, like radical empathy or something like that. Toxic empathy, is that what it was called? Yeah, there's a whole like it's what's her name? Allie Beth Stuckey. Is she Mormon? Sounds like a Mormon name. JD Vance out there. Look, empathy's the real problem in this country. We could just take all that money that we spend on the military. We could take care of those veterans that have PTSD, take care of their families, take care of everybody else in this country with health care, and we could stop creating this perpetual problem. I don't understand. I honestly do not understand anybody who doesn't agree with this. I don't understand what you're fighting for, like what you're advocating for, why you want our military to be this active, why we're like, we got Pete Hegseth, like, we're going to be lethal, warrior ethos. How about peace? We're going to stop calling ourselves the Department of Defense because we're not a defensive military anymore. We're offensive. Oh. You know why we changed to the Department of Defense instead of the Department of War? Because we didn't want to be a warlike people. We recognized that that's like the military should be there for defense. That's why we have it. And now we have to rebrand. Like, we're not just defense anymore. We're offensive. YouTube's back. Thank you. Appreciate that. Have I ever lived anywhere else, like another country? No. I have not lived in another country. I've lived in a lot of a majority of the states in this country, but no, not a different country. I played Megyn Kelly's rant earlier today. Trump made peace in 8 conflicts. No, he didn't. None of them give him credit for that. Just like, I don't know why you guys say that. And I don't even fucking care. Let's say that he did. Let's just, for your argument's sake, he did all that. He also is actively murdering people in international waters. He's actively threatening to invade Venezuela. For what reason? Because 5% of our one particular drug comes through Venezuela. 5% of it does. He didn't stop anything. Who was that said that? I want to know why you think that this is a good thing for us to do. Why do you think it's a good thing for us to do to involve the military now, to start taking people out? Thank you for the gifted subs, Crazy Trees. I appreciate that. All right, we'll move past that. Yeah, here's what the administration's talking about now. Let's keep pretending that we're not racist. Maga, I'm going to need you to explain this to me.
Americans, in light of these recent events that you just mentioned, are starting to say that we are being invaded as a country, culturally and logistically, when it comes to immigration. And we know that immigration without assimilation is indeed invasion. So given the recent remarks from Vice President Vance on a college campus about dramatically reducing legal immigration to address some of this crisis, and President Trump's Truth Social post last week about individuals who may be non-compatible with Western civilization, are there any conversations happening?
There's no such thing as Western civilization. There's no such thing as Western values. Just like there's some Christian people. And by the way, can somebody explain the difference between Christian values and like Muslim values, please. And before, like, I've had this conversation with some of my Republican friends. And I don't think that you see things very clearly, Christians. Because when you talk about like Muslim values that are incompatible with Western values, you talk about radical Islam as if we don't have radical Christianity. You guys often point to like, look how they treat gay people. Well, look how radical Christians treat gay people. Look how they treat women. Joel Webon, who has a massive right-wing podcast, says women shouldn't vote all the time. Women are the problem. They're too emotional. They should lose the right to vote. Charlie Kirk hinted at that. Steven Crowder talks about that. Matt Walsh talks about that. If I could be just, I mean, I could take anything out of the Bible and radicalize it. People use the Bible all the time to be radicalized. That's a choice. But as far as like, they're using mostly the same book. Like the Old Testament is Judaism, it's Christianity, it's Islam, and then they've got like other books that they add to it. I don't get this thing that they're talking about. I don't get the thing that they're talking about that like these two groups are incapable of living together. Maybe it has something to do with us going over there all the time with the world's largest army and destabilizing their countries. Maybe it's really not about the religion.
Compatible with Western civilization. Are there any conversations happening or plans being made behind?
Tell you about the incestual stories in the Bible? You got it, New Yorker. There's a man named Lot. Lot had a wife and he had some daughters, and they were told to leave because Sodom and Gomorrah was going to be destroyed. And on their way out of Sodom and Gomorrah, Lot's wife, that stupid woman, it's always the woman, she turned around and looked back and she turned into a pillar of salt. Oh, fuck, I'm Lot. I don't have a wife anymore. They go out into the wilderness. And then his daughter's like, shit, it's just me, it's just us and our dad, and we want to have kids, but we don't have anybody to make kids with. I've got an idea. Let's get our dad drunk so he can impregnate us. And they got their dad drunk, and he impregnated them. The end.
The scenes for the administration to implement at least a temporary immigration moratorium, for example, in light of what the American people might be calling for?
So, Isabel, it's a great question. I think I spoke a little bit to the heart of your question in my opener there. I would add that the Trump administration has done more to limit migration, both illegal and legal, than any administration in history. And I'll just walk you through some of the actions that we have taken thus far. Number one, the Trump administration issued a travel ban for 19 countries, including Afghanistan, special immigrant visas, which is a legal pathway to get here, which we know many Afghans have utilized to come into the country, have now been paused since the tragic shooting last week.
Muslims stone cheating wives. We burned women calling them witches. We used to give women lobotomies. They had depression. We gave them, what was it, amphetamines? Or was it the C drug? Again, like you're saying this is like it's generic. Like those things do happen in rare instances. But like in most like Muslim countries, that doesn't happen. In most big cities, big populations with Muslims, that doesn't happen. That happens rarely, and then you guys apply it to the whole. But all that stuff happens with women in America, too. I grew up in Utah. There was literally a city that we just pretended it was fine. It's called Colorado City. Shout out to those from Colorado City. We used to have a mod. I don't know if she's still around anymore, but who lived in Colorado City, where they would take children and make them marry like 60-year-old men. And I lived in that state, and we didn't do anything about that. We just let it happen. We just mostly were like, let's just pretend that's not happening. Finally, they did kind of something about it with Warren Jeffs, but they're still practicing that. That happens just in the state that I grew up in. Remember, the things that you hear, the things that are true about Islam, or places that practice Islam, you cannot apply those as a whole. Same, and if you're going to do that, then you've got to start talking about Christianity and applying those things as a whole.
Refugee admissions were suspended for Afghans from this administration on day one, and refugee admissions into the country right now are essentially at zero.
Except
with the exception of Afrikaners fleeing persecution in South Africa.
Oh, the whites. Yeah. Oh, the whites. Don't worry. We'll bring in some whites. We'll bring in Elon Musk and Peter Thiel's family. No immigrants. America first. Unless you're white, then come on in. And we'll give you some farmland, too. Not racist, though, right? What exactly is it that the Afrikaners have in common with us outside of them being white? Well, they're a lot like we were in the 40s and 50s, and now we kind of want to go back there. Yeah. No, brown people, they're not fleeing persecution. See how that works, Perry? See, brown people, when they come to this country, according to conservatives, brown people are coming here to this country to take over, to take all the things that these good whites earned for themselves. But we can bring in other whites because they won't take, even though we're literally, like our farmers are starving, we're literally giving farms to the good whites from South Africa, literally giving them farms. Like the stuff that everybody accuses us of doing with people from Venezuela or from Afghanistan, the stuff that doesn't actually happen for those people, we're doing for the good whites from South Africa. Bring them in. Bring them in, boys. Give them some farmland. Give them everything they need. But yeah, why is that? But we're not racist, guys. This administration's not racist. They just know that their voters don't mind white immigrants, so you can give them whatever they want. And their voters won't care because they're white. Not racist, though, right? Cool. I want to show you Adam Carolla. I don't know if my mom is here. She was telling me when I was in Mexico that she used to be like a big fan of Adam Carolla. And I guess his wife used to be on the podcast. They're divorced now. And she's like, I hadn't watched for a while. And then I turned it on Adam Carolla and I was like, holy shit, what happened? Eric said they wanted no more wars and they got the Department of War Crimes. No new wars. All the wars, please. They never meant no new wars. They never gave a fuck about the no new wars thing. That was just something they said. It's like all things that conservatives say. They take things that they think progressives care about and they try and be like, look, you guys are hypocrites. And then when they're hypocrites, they're like, yeah, we don't really care. We that's what we do. We're just always hypocrites. But here's Adam Carolla now participating in the who's the problem? Is it immigrants? Yeah, it's usually immigrants. Who else could it be? It could be big pharma. I agree with him there. And who else? Women. You can't trick men. You can't trick good, strong, white men like Adam Carolla. You can only trick the dumb women.
New director of the Food and Drug Administration's vaccine division told his agency in a staff memo that an internal review found that at least 10 children died after and because of receiving the COVID vaccine.
Well, look, if they're healthy, then that's...
What do I think about 9-year-old marriages in Islam, in Iraq? What about 300 beheading in Saudi Arabia? I'm against all of that. I dislike all religion, and I vehemently reject radical Islam and radical Christianity. I was Mormon. If you look up the name Lori Vallow, she killed her 2 children in Idaho in the name of her religion. There was another man who just killed his 2 children because he was worried about them growing up in a woke America. This happens in America too. I reject all of that. Stop. If you don't want me to apply that to you as a Christian, then don't do it to other people. You can reject, like, this is the small-mindedness of conservatives, and this is where your racism boils up. Because if you look at a religion and you take extremes in that religion and you apply it to the whole of that religion, but not your own religion, then there's a problem there. This is where I think it's racist. Could be bigoted, could be Islamophobia, whatever it is. Things that are different from you, you find a reason to wholesale reject it and to hate people who practice that religion. I try really fucking hard to take a nuanced view. Like, I didn't have a good relationship with the Mormon Church. I didn't have a good experience with the Mormon Church. As a child, I was conditioned. I was abused both mentally and physically. And I think that church as a whole, like my experience, would tell me fuck everybody. But I also have good friends who are Mormon. And there's probably Mormons here, practicing Mormons here. And I recognize that just because those things happen to me by leaders of that church doesn't mean that like everybody's that same way. And I grew up in a state where like they were abusing children, 9, 10, 11-year-old children. I grew up in a state with the Mountain Meadows Massacre, where they wholesale unalived more than 300 people who were simply trying to go from Missouri to California, and they unalived all of them except for the kids under 2, and they took those kids and they raised them as their own. So if you're not willing to have nuance about your own religion, but then you'll take it. Well, I guess if you're not willing to have nuance against another religion, but you'll nuance the fuck out of your religion, then you're just kind of a bigot. You can't do both. That's all I'm saying here. Listen, most people don't want to hurt you. The overwhelming majority of people that you ever come in contact with do not want to hurt you. This conditioning that you're given online that they all want to hurt you, I'll be honest, like I had this conversation with a friend the other day, really good friend. Sometimes he watches here. I don't know if he is today. But he said something to me that was really interesting because he talked about like going back to Utah. He always is like, you should move back to Utah. You should move back to Utah. I'm like, fuck, I'm never going back to Utah. And usually that's where it ends. But we had like a longer conversation, and he asked about going back to Utah. And I told him about like my experience with conservatives and Mormons and the way that I get treated by conservatives and Mormons, which is mostly online. And I said, I just don't want to be there. Like Utah's full of conservative Mormons. Those people don't like me. And he said something that was, I think maybe we all could take some advice here. He said, look, dude, those are online people. We're not all like that. There's a lot of people that disagree with you politically that don't give a fuck. There's a lot of people that disagree with your takes on religion that don't give a fuck. They don't want to harm you. They don't want to argue with you. They'll coexist with you. They don't care. It's like most people aren't the people that you encounter online. And I've been thinking about that for the last 3 or 4 weeks. I think it's about then. And it honestly been a bit life-changing for me. I talk about this group of people that I've golfed with historically that are all Republicans, and I kind of just shut it down. Like I just stopped golfing with them. And I did realize at one point that while there were some people there that for sure don't like me because of my political beliefs, most of them don't give a fuck. And even though they were conservative, I applied that to all of them because like that's my experience. Like I think sometimes it's like all of these Republicans that are in here every day, I'm like, fuck, you guys are all the same. And I struggle with it still. I'm still going to struggle with this, but it was a good reminder. And it would be pretty hypocritical of me to lecture Republicans on all Muslims aren't the same, and then me be like, all Republicans are the same, all Christians are the same, all Mormons are the same. And that's like the shitty part of making a living online, and that's the shitty part for all of us that spend a lot of time online. Why are we here? We're here because we care. We're here because we want to see change, but we're also a little bit here. We're also here because we're a little bit jaded, and a lot of us are here because like we have negativity that takes up our life, and this is a good way for us to get that out. And some of us probably are way too stuck in this online world, and some of us probably don't touch grass enough, and some of us probably don't have discussions enough with people who think differently than us. That's why I want Republicans to talk to me. That's why like. When we hold debates, some people get frustrated that I hold too much space for a conservative when I try and have the conversation, because I really do. Like I do like people, and I grew up with conservatives, and I was a conservative, and there's part of me that just thinks that every conservative is one conversation away from realizing that, a lot of this stuff is bigotry. It's just ingrained in me. I don't even realize it. I've been scared into believing that these people are bad. I know that's like a long fucking rant, but we could all do a little better with that. That type of conditioning is what is allowing us to overlook the fact that this administration is just murdering people in the ocean. All they had to do was tell you that they're bringing drugs, and most conservatives like, that's fine, let them die. There's no thought of like, what do you think happens to those families? How do you think they view America? Specifically knowing that like the only two people we know that have survived from these drone strikes on the boats weren't drug traffickers. The only two. 100% of people who have survived were not drug traffickers. Knowing that, there's probably a chance that some of those people weren't drug traffickers, right? How do you think their family feels about America? What if they were traffickers? How do you think their family feels about America? They're like, okay, listen, America, they're sending it to your country because your people want it. Your people are buying it. Your people are importing it. And then you kill us. You're not going to take any accountability for any of that stuff? I don't blame people being radicalized against America. Why would anybody outside of America look at America as the good guy? Who have we stepped in and helped? Ukraine. That's about it. That's the one thing that like baffles me about conservatives. The one place that I can think of where I feel like America has consistently done the right thing over multiple administrations is arming Ukraine against Russia to protect themselves. That's the one place that I can think of that we're doing the right thing. And it's like the one place conservatives are like, oh, dude, Ukraine? Arming Israel, arming the aggressor of Israel, that's fine. Right? Like all that stuff's cool. But arming Ukraine to protect themselves, conservatives for some reason have a problem with that. It's just it's real hard to figure out how the fuck we got here. Where Ukraine is the bad guy in America. How'd that happen? Somebody tell me why Ukraine's the bad guy. Well, because the phone call, the perfect phone call. Oh, because Joe Biden threatened him. Because you let politics dictate which country you like and don't like. So the reason you like Russia is because they say nice things about Trump. The reason you like Israel is they say nice things about Trump. The reason you're suddenly cool with all of these countries who have been you're at the same time saying like, oh, radical Islamists are a threat to us. And then you're like, Qatar, thanks for the cash. Thanks for giving our president a bunch of cash. Saudi Arabia, thanks for giving our president a bunch of cash. Pam Bondi, what was your last job? Oh, you were a lobbyist to try and whitewash Qatar? Cool, thanks for the cash. You're cool with all these people who funded radical Islam and terrorist groups against the United States. Those are all your friends now. But Ukraine, who's just trying to tell Russia, please don't come into our country or we have to shoot you. They're the bad guys. That's how fucked our politics have gotten. That's how fucked we are. And I'm going to continue this clip with Adam Carolla, but it's also got us to the point now where we're just blaming groups of people. Suddenly, like, the only smart people in this country are white conservative men.
COVID vaccine.
Well, look, if they're healthy, then that's more kids than died of COVID while healthy. It's all the kids.
TikTok, don't take me. I'm not saying this. TikTok, if you're listening, I am not saying this. This is misinformation Adam Carolla is about to give out. We are calling it misinformation. However you need to label this. Please don't take my stream down when I show a clip of Adam Carolla. 2 days in a row, I've showed clips of conservatives and I get taken down.
It's all back to the kids. Every road's to the kids. That's all they did was the kids. That's all they did was scare dumb mamas. Dumb mamas controlled the house, and dumb mamas became their foot soldiers and did their fucking bidding. So it's basically like you go, look, what do you want? You go, well, I want everyone to not take ivermectin and not take hydroxychloroquine and get vaccinated and stay in and shelter in place and wipe everything out with Purell.
All of those things are backed by science, by the way. The irony of a below mediocre white man calling moms who follow the science and have been backed up by that science that hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin were shown in multiple double-blind studies to not be effective treatments for COVID-19 whatsoever. Now, they're not terribly destructive, but basically all you did when you took those two things is you took a risk of the side effects, and there were actually zero benefits. They have shown that neither of those things provided any benefit for COVID. Like using disinfectant, that's good for every type of germ. Staying away from sick people, always good advice. Wearing a mask to try and prevent any particles from getting into your nose and face, regardless of how effective that mask is. If it's 1% effective, it's more effective than 0%. Right? So all of these things that he's calling moms dumb for are all the right answer. But he's just confidently white and confidently male. So he just says this shit with his whole chest. And by the way, like, the anti-vax movement, that was more led by like granola moms, conservative moms. That it wasn't like there was this group of moms who were like, I don't know about this Dr. Fauci. And then this group of conservative moms came out and they're like, actually, you should listen to Fauci. And we're like, okay. Like, there was no mom movement to get vaccinated. The mom movement was you, dude. That was your side. That was the granola moms that are like, all things that aren't natural are bad.
You are not going to get that done with me. You will get it done with a dumbass wife. You poison her brain, and you get to her, and then she inflicts.
Philip Sarek, thanks for the all caps. Why the fuck would I ask the doctors who treated patients when I can look at the studies? If a doctor treats a patient and gives them ivermectin and 3 days later that person feels better, that's not scientific evidence. Because guess what? People with COVID recovered in 3 days. It happened all the time. You're proving, once again, I'm going to guess, white male that just said that. I'm going to guess you're just like this dude. That's not scientific evidence. That's a dumb thing that you would do. If you took what the doctor said based on personal experience and ignored the scientific data, then you're exactly what he's talking. You're just a sheep. I'm just listening to him because he told me a story.
She is the disciplinarian. She lays down all the rules, the COVID rules at the house, right? And the way you get her is you scare her about kids. That's what works with her. So kids. If they
literally started this by pointing out that some people that got vaccinated, like 2 kids that got vaccinated later on died. So they started this clip but was scaring you about kids and like, don't get vaccinated because 2 kids died. And now in the middle of this clip, they're like, this is how they get you. This is like he's only a minute and 16 seconds in. So he's like a minute. He said that part about the kids like a minute ago. He's already forgotten that part. That's how mediocre Adam Carolla is. But if you just say it loudly enough with enough confidence, conservatives will believe you.
I just said at the beginning of this, it doesn't really appear to harm healthy kids. It just doesn't. It just doesn't seem to have, it's like maybe a flu or a cold to a healthy young person. So it doesn't really.
Yeah, young kids have good immune systems. Yeah, it's spoiler.
Really seem to affect kids. It would have been a totally different trajectory. We wouldn't have shut the schools down. We wouldn't have shut society down. If they had told us what they knew about kids, then we would have gone a different direction. But they never did. They never did. They wouldn't, because they held that. They guarded that information, and they guarded that information because once you let the kids off the danger hook, like if you said, it doesn't appear to really be dangerous to healthy kids, then every mom in the world would have stopped enforcing all the retarded edicts they put before her.
Yeah, they did the right thing. This is such a this is the least self-aware person I can imagine. He's arguing the opposite side. Like, all of these moms did the right thing. And he's like, they were so stupid for doing the right thing. They only did the right thing because they listened to the scientists. Yeah. That's exactly why. Lee said, for the gift gold, thanks for doing what you do. It makes a difference. I appreciate you saying that, Lee's. Amy said, I have morals. That's why I'm atheist. It is very difficult to be a Christian and have like consistent morals. Thank you, Jen. Appreciate that. Let me check over here too. I don't know if I got all the Michelle, thank you. Amber said, with Trump, it's pay to play if you're a drug dealer. Thanks, and I'll update this number. I'll finish this out.
And that's where we got. And that's why the dumb moms got the fucking kids vaccinated and it was totally unnecessary for them.
Absolutely.
And now it's dangerous. Thanks, moms. Yeah. Great job. Mm-hmm. Next time, ask a fucking question, would you please, before you light your Fauci candle? Fucking dumb shits.
Yep.
Everyone in this fucking safe.
I see so mad. Jen, we got to make a Fauci candle, I think. I think we need to. It's funny because, like, this is just total projection, right? Like, they think that we thought of Fauci the way they thought of Joe Rogan. They thought we thought of Fauci the way they thought of all their conspiracy theorists. Like, oh, this guy's, he's amazing. I only ever talked about Fauci when conservatives brought him up. Honestly, I never trusted Fauci. I didn't trust him for what he said ever. I just waited. He said, here's the best available science. We looked at the best available science. It seemed to back up what he was saying. And you guys all chose like, oh, I trust this person. And the reason that he's so mad is because, like, he can't explain why he didn't win. He can't explain why most of the world disagrees with him. And rather than just admit, uh-oh, I was wrong, he just calls everybody else dumb. If you don't see it my way, then you're dumb. You can't figure that out. Just do a little research, bud. How many moms gave their kids bleach? I don't know. I hope not many. Jen said, many girls/women can agree that a lot of our PTSD comes from men. RTP is a safe place. I'm glad you feel that way. I appreciate that. And I hope I can continue to earn that trust. That'd be dope. But I would, my experience with the women in my life says that, yeah, most of their PTSD comes from men. So I'll try to do my best to not give you, I think Jen might disagree. Jen might disagree about the PTSD not coming from me. All right, what time is it? 1? I want to show this from Laura Ingram real quick. I won't do the anti-vax stuff. I'm going to skip 32, Casey, and we're going to go to 33. Now, I want to preface this because I think Laura Ingram here, I think she has a bit of an agenda going after Kash Patel because she is a racist. And so I was kind of shocked to see this, but this is who I was confusing, whoever that Minnesota legislator was before. This is, what's her name? Miranda Devine. She's the New York Post columnist who's handled a bunch of whistleblowers for the FBI, including under the Biden administration. When they talk about the weaponization of the Biden administration, she said she had multiple whistleblowers come out from the FBI who said that the DOJ was being weaponized against Trump, and they were worried about that. So this is somebody who historically has said what conservatives want to say. And now this is somebody that you all trusted. This is somebody that Laura Ingram trusts. This is somebody who you've all, whether you know it or not, when you talk about the whistleblowers coming out with Joe Biden, this is the person that they went to. This is the person who broke the story. So you all trusted her before. So let's see if you can hold tight to that with this new reporting.
The report, did say some good things about Patel, comments about Patel, working hard in other ways and respected in other quarters, especially field offices. But were these people on the record, or was this like the typical drive-by anonymous sources smearing the Trump administration?
No, it's anything but that. This is not a deep state cabal. It is, in fact, an alliance. They call themselves an alliance of these FBI professionals who came together in 2023 in dismay at the way the FBI had been weaponized and politicized under Christopher Wray during the Biden.
M said Kash Patel looks like he's making the conscious decision to blink. Yeah, it's really good. That's exactly what he looks like.
Biden administration. And in fact, my reports, my stories on their previous reports have been, widely applauded by the same people who are now trying to shoot the messenger. I know these people, they're patriots. and they only have the best interests of the FBI in mind. And so they asked for a 6-month sort of report card on Kash Patel and Dan Bongino's performance, and they found 80% of their responses were negative. And I guess
80%. Oof. 80%. You know why I'm just going to take a guess of why they're negative. Because he's fucking dumb. He's fucking dumb. And you took 2 pretty dumb podcast hosts and you put them in charge of the FBI. And the career people at the FBI, the ones who know how to do their jobs, think that these guys are dumb and incompetent. That's bad. If you're leading a department and 80% of the people that work for you say, you should go. You should just go. Like, in any part of government, if you lead a department and 80% of the people in your department think that you suck, you shouldn't lead anymore. But why do we think Kash Patel and Dan Bongino still have their jobs? Because they know stuff. And Trump knows stuff about them, and they're in this together. But this is hands down the dumbest FBI director we've ever had, and it's not close. And I don't mean that in a way like I think that in fact every FBI director we've had is very intelligent. I think Christopher Wray was really intelligent. I think James Comey's really intelligent. I don't think that they're honest. I think that they're corrupt, but they're intelligent. Kash Patel's not that bright. He struggles with like basic questions. Dan Bongino, not that bright. These are like some pretty average folks without the experience necessary to lead. And the folks at the FBI are saying, guys, they got to go. They got it. I mean, how many times is Kash Patel going to fuck up? Last week, after they had already caught the shooter, he's like, we're going to track down this shooter. Bro, you're at the press conference. The guy right before you said we caught the shooter, and you stepped up there and said, we're going to find this shooter. That's not good. If the Charlie Kirk assassination, you're like, we got our guy. You didn't have your guy. This guy's a mess. He's an absolute mess. And by the way, his girlfriend sucks at music. Probably is going to sue for libel. Terrible. Might be a honeypot. That's what they're alleging. But I'm not saying that because he's very litigious. The FBI doesn't want to work for this idiot. And the FBI is deeply conservative. It always has been. Probably always will be. Law enforcement's always going to be deeply conservative.
Their responses.
What would Bongino would wipe the floor with me? Because his head's a squeegee? With what? This is the thing. Like, this is the problem with MAGA men. Just because he's like, the fact that when he speaks you understand him should be proof that like he's a dipshit. He says what I was thinking. That's not a good sign. Bongino's not bright. Nobody thinks Bongino's bright, but whatever. We can argue with you all you want. 80% of the people that work for him think he's a dipshit.
They found 80% of their responses were negative. And I guess, what they hope and what I would have hoped is that Kash Patel and Dan Bongino would take this criticism on board as it's coming from Trump-aligned people. This alliance actually endorsed.
By the way, I think if I led the FBI, 80% of the people would also say I wasn't qualified to lead the FBI. I'm as qualified as Kash. I shouldn't be leading the FBI either, to be clear. I'm not qualified for that job, and I don't think I'm smart enough to do that job. So let's be honest, but either are they. Clearly.
Trump publicly last October saying that he had the best options for FBI reform. And so this criticism is coming with a good spirit and, it can be taken in that sense to help Patel and Bongino improve what this criticism finds is lacking.
80% of the people say you fucking suck. Would you like to improve? No, they're just haters. They just have Trump derangement syndrome, probably. I am smart. I think I'm smarter than Kash Patel. There's no way of telling. I think I'm smarter than both of them. But whatever. There's no way to prove that. We could debate. I bet I would win in any debate. If it was like a scored debate with Kash Patel. I've watched him in front of Congress just melt down. I've watched Bongino meltdown. Bongino, when was the last time you saw Dan Bongino? This dude got benched like 6 months ago. They don't even let him go in front of a camera anymore. He did that one Fox News interview where he just came off like a psychopath, and they're like, no more for you, Dan Bongino. You can't be on camera anymore. And they brought in a deputy, like a co-deputy. Did you guys know that he's so bad at his job that they had to bring in a co-deputy? Now it's being done by 2 people? Yeah, Corn Pop. How would I know if I can beat them in a debate? I could beat you in a debate, Corn Pop. You're one of the dumbest motherfuckers I've ever heard speak. Legitimately, I think if we took a poll for right and left, it was like, what do you guys think of Corn Pop's ability to debate? They'd be like, uh-oh. You might 80% would be a goal for you. If only 80% thought you were good at debating, Corn Pop, I'd be shocked. I'm a 6-week police academy away from. I could probably just play Call of Duty for like a month straight, and I'd be just as qualified as Cash Patel. Rebel Heart says, do you think CK is waiting in Valhalla for Cash? And also, I wonder why his wife is an ex. I think that was in reference to what Adam Carolla. Amber said, with Trump, it's pay to play. If you're a drug dealer, molester, murderer, fraudster, pay and Trump will allow it. Facts. What's this? Guys, get your Dr. Fauci prayer candles now in the RTP store. Everybody say your prayers real quick to Dr. Fauci. All hail Dr. Fauci, our Lord and Savior. All right. Can you imagine a more boring podcast than a Fauci podcast? That would be tough. Jesse said towards the gift goal. Thanks for all you do. Appreciate that. All right. Last thing, then we'll get out of here. Let me update that. Somebody will knock out that goal. I think it's close, but we'll get that. Where is this? Oh, wait. Did I not put it on here? Yeah, it was this one. Raina added this to our
the I team tonight taking
stories to cover in Discord. I am checking that more often, so I know a lot of you stopped posting in there because I wasn't checking, but I am checking. So Raina, thanks for this. This is what we'll finish off. This is the I team investigating that. Turns out, you're going to be surprised by this, but it turns out that a lot of these ICE dudes are lying in their reports. They're lying about the violence that they're receiving. Here's the I team who dug into this, got through FOIA requests, got body cam, and these guys are just thin-skinned little bitches. When it comes time to write their reports, they lie about how they were under threat.
The I team tonight taking a closer look at a trove of videos.
This is only coming out of my left headphone, so if you don't hear it, just either put it on speaker or switch headphones probably.
Ordered released by Judge Sarah Ellis in her explanation of the preliminary injunction she issued earlier this month, restricting use of force against protesters and journalists by federal agents during Operation Midway Blitz. In nearly all of the examples Judge Ellis cited in her 200-plus page opinion, she says the Department of Homeland Security narrative contradicts the reality of what can be seen on agents' body-worn cameras. Here are just a few examples from her ruling.
September 26th, outside the Broadview ICE facility. Video from an agent's body-worn camera shows a line of agents standing at least 30 feet away from protesters. Despite this distance...
you guys tell me when they faced danger here. By the way, Wild Bill, they're making the Valhalla reference because Cash Patel, speaking in the mic, said, "We'll see you in Valhalla, brother," when talking about after Charlie Kirk died. So that's why they're making fun of it.
Yelling, move back, to protesters, and then
He's
shoot
got his hands
pepper
up.
balls and tear gas at them. All without any apparent justification, according to Judge Sarah Ellis's 233.
All right, let's move it back. Where's the danger here?
Then shoot pepper balls and tear gas at them. All without any apparent justification, according to Judge Sarah Ellis's 233-page opinion. She said an agent wrote in his use of force report about this incident that protesters were becoming increasingly hostile. However, she says the video shows protesters were simply standing there when agents first deployed any force.
How do you argue that? And this is then the stuff. Then they report. Kristi Noem goes out, and the members of Congress go out, and they read these reports, and they go, "Our ICE agents are under attack. More than 500 ICE agents have been attacked." This would have been one of the ones that they claimed an ICE agent was attacked on. How many of these are there?
October 4th in Brighton Park, footage showing an agent pushing a protester to the ground. Then tear gas and pepper balls are released. Judge Ellis writes only after tear gas, pepper balls, and a protester was pushed to the ground by agents did protesters throw items, which, quote, does not support agents' use of force. In an incident the ABC 7i team covered in Albany Park October 12th, Judge Ellis writes agents said in
danger
reports
is subjective. But if you're in no danger and then you react, then I think you might just be a bitch and maybe this job isn't for you. The danger is 50 feet away and moving slowly backwards. Oh, no. Look at them. They're moving backwards away from me. These are I don't know if there's a bigger group of bitches than ICE.
I don't like that you're yelling at me. I'm going to throw you to the ground.
DHS publicized that a bicyclist threw a bike at
This one's
agents.
crazy.
But in this video, provided with no sound to start, she says it, quote, makes clear that agents...
That dude back was turned. The person with the bike here that they threw at, back. This guy appears to just be like walking. So they're arm in arm. Here's the person with the bike, just standing backwards.
Agents. But in this video, provided with no sound to start, she says it, quote, makes clear that agents first throw tear gas, then take a protester's bike, throwing it and multiple other protesters to the ground after deploying
That guy's just
tear
picking
gas.
up his phone, gets
Ellis
thrown
also
down.
noting an agent is seen here in this redacted and blurred video from his body-worn camera in at least one instance using ChatGPT to write a use of force report, saying,
ChatGPT, can you please help me explain why I was under attack? I don't know how to explain why I'm under attack. Please tell me, ChatGPT. It's going to be, I'm fucked when they see this video.
Illusion said, shit, Jenna Ellis was the crybaby, my bad. Oh, Sarah Ellis. Remember crying Sarah Ellis, pardoned by DJT? Did she just get pardoned today? Or did that happen already? I don't remember her being pardoned. Is that today?
quote, to the extent that agents use ChatGPT to create their use of force reports, this further undermines their credibility. Judge Ellis,
in all fairness, I've seen some of these ICE people, and I've seen MAGA. There's a good chance they just can't spell or read. There's a real good chance. When you say, so is nothing going to be done? Well, no, these are finding their way to court now.
On to say, quote, it becomes difficult, if not impossible, to believe almost anything that defendants represent.
That's a judge. That's a judge. It becomes difficult, if not impossible, to believe almost anything that defendants represent. Because they keep fucking lying. All in the name of deporting immigrants.
Anything that defendants represent. The Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals stayed Judge Ellis's initial order while the administration's appeal is heard. Despite what you just saw, neither the Department of Homeland Security nor Border Patrol Chief Greg Bovino has ever admitted to an unjustified use of force, claiming throughout that all of their actions have been justified and lawful.
This is a crazy thing. When you say who will stop this, Mama Kimbo, probably nobody. Probably nobody. What are we going to do? Like, every time a judge rules against the Trump administration, there's like, fuck it, we'll do it anyways. They don't give a fuck. Like, this is why we warned of fascism. This is why this is a fascist regime. If you reject, and Larry, good to see you with your dumbass comments here again. Oh, a woman judge, DEI. Fucking dipshit. I wonder who. Are all women judges DEI? By the way, Larry, does that include conservative judges? The only reason Donald Trump wasn't in jail for January 6th is a woman judge that he appointed. Was that DEI? No, it's just DEI when it's a woman who rules against Trump because I'm too fucking stupid to come up with an argument. I show up every day and say the same dumb shit. Yeah, they're not gonna stop it. This is the reality that we live in. Like, I don't know. I don't know how you stop it. When this many millions of Americans say, fuck it, we're doing fascism, we're doing fascism. That's why we're afraid of fascism, because there's no checks against fascism. They just do it. So until conservatives start fighting back, this is what we're dealing with. I don't know if they're going to. It looks like maybe there's a little bit of hope when it comes to Pete Hegseth. Maybe if these eventually get to the Supreme Court. Somebody said there's rumors that these are, like, some of these are ex-IDF soldiers. We don't know who any of these people are. Republicans, are you comfortable with that? Are you comfortable with literally not knowing who these people are? They don't have to wear ID. We don't know if they're being paid. They could be paid under the table. We have no idea. There is no accountability. You have these, you have some of them writing reports, but some of them not. How do we know that every time they detain somebody, they're writing a report? You don't know their names. How do you know when they punch somebody? Like, if they don't bring somebody in, detain them and bring them in, how do we know there's a report there? I was looking, CoffeeZilla did an expose the other day, and he was talking about the lack of transparency. He was trying to get a FOIA request. They told him it was like 170 months is how long it would take to get his FOIA request done. They've gutted the FOIA process. So the other thing this administration's done is, like, they didn't get rid of Freedom of Information Acts. They just gutted it. So it's almost impossible to get information unless you're somebody powerful. Then you can probably get it expedited. But for you and I, for anybody who the Freedom of Information Act is for everybody. It was to add transparency to our government. They can't get rid of it, but they sure as shit can gut it. They can just have no staffing there. And that's what they've done. This is it's alarming how dumb MAGA Republicans are when they stand up there every day and say the most transparent administration in history, while literally being the least transparent administration in history. Any bit of transparency you had under Joe Biden, there's less now. There's never been, at least in my lifetime, even the Bush administration, we had more out of the Bush administration. Fuck, the reason we called Obama the drone strike commander-in-chief is because we knew where he was doing drone strikes. Mostly, like, we probably wouldn't even know about all the drone strikes if Pete Hegseth wasn't posting them on Twitter and bragging about them. We don't know about the other ones. They don't have to report that. They just hide shit all the time. Bro, these guys are the Proud Boys. Probably. There certainly is Proud Boys in there. No question. Stop your crying. Stop being a bitch. Like, we got the both sidesers in here. Both sides are dumb. Yeah, maybe, but, like, could you address what we're saying here? Did both sides do this? Did the Democrats put masked ICE agents in the street who are lying about assaulting people? It's such a cowardly approach. All right, that's it for today. We'll be back tomorrow morning. Let me get through all the comments, make sure I didn't miss any here. And then we'll be back tomorrow for Wednesday morning show. Rebel says, do you think... I did that one. Did that one. Jenna L's pardon, November 9th, 2025. I forgot about that. That one kind of flew under the radar for me. We need to get the House back to affect ICE's budget. That's true. If we can get the House back, that could change some things. All right, everybody. We'll be back tomorrow morning, every weekday morning, 8:30 a.m. to noon Pacific Standard Time, right here, wherever you were watching. The replays are available on YouTube, and the Discord is free. So if you want to join the Discord, message me or any moderator. We'll get you in there. A reminder, not this Monday, but the following Monday, we will have another movie night in the Discord. You need to be a paid subscriber to join the movie night, whether it's on TikTok, YouTube, or Twitch, anywhere where you're a paid subscriber. That gets you admission on any level. Other than that, we have merch in the bio. I'm on Cameo. You can support us in any of those ways. Is Bree here? Bree, do we have a raid set up by chance? We haven't done a raid for a while. Anybody know if Bree's here? TikTok, who should we raid? We'll do a Twitch raid and a TikTok raid. Lux, okay. Let's raid Lux over on Twitch. Itchy's live. All right, yeah. Everybody go see Itchy. I think we did Comrade B last time. Two really good choices. Itchy Band is the name. We'll raid Itchy. Head on over there. Sorry, Pickles came late, but I do like Pickles. We'll get to that. I'm gonna try and do more raids. I've been slacking on that. She's not live. Okay. We're gonna raid Itchy. Tell Itchy that RTP sent him, and tell him his barbecue's dry as hell. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning, every weekday morning, 8:30 a.m. to noon, right here, Pacific time, right here, wherever you're watching. Take care of yourselves. Have a drink of water. Say something nice about yourselves. Stay cute and cool. Have a great summer.